us very shortly. Appreciate you rocking with us right here on 105.3 The Fan. I should shout out Rodrigo Mendoza on the ones and twos. Appreciate you, my man. Like I said, appreciate you rocking with us on 105.3 The Fan on YouTube, 105.3 The Fan on Twitch, twitch.tv/Dallas Fan Cam. We're here with you till 11 p.m. tonight. Of course, following Cowboys Crosstalk. Always good to hear from Nate and George Teague sitting in with those fellas on your home of 105, or your home of the Cowboys, I should say, 105.3 The Fan on 49ers week. Niners week, baby. It's going to be a real fun one leading up to Sunday Night Football, 7:20 on NBC. But, of course, you want to be listening right here on 105.3 The Fan, I believe. Pre-game show starts at 3:15. We got you covered all the way at 3:15, although, well, never mind. I'm not certain exactly how that goes because, schedules do be shifting around a little bit. Of course, like I mentioned, Niners, Cowboys this Sunday, and you can catch me and KG at Old 75 Beer Garden in Richardson, where we'll be watching that one live with you, the Tolos, having a drink, watching some football, having a good time. However, I would be remiss if I started this here program and did not talk about how it's currently October and your Texas Rangers, on the home of the Rangers, are still playing baseball in no short order. I mean, in some ways, this man has played a big part right here.
Now 2 outs. Carter the batter with the runner at third. And that one is swung on and hit deep to right. Way back there. That ball is history. The kid has done it again. Evan Carter with a laser 2-run homer. The Rangers lead 4-0. He has not made an out in postseason in 6 plate appearances, 3 extra base hits, and 3 walks.
He did end up making an out, spoiler alert. However, that makes he got on base 7 times rather in his at-bats when it came to this series, where your Rangers sweep, although we might have to have a conversation on if it is in fact called a sweep when it's only 2 games. But your Rangers sweep the wild card series, and they will move on to the division series versus the Baltimore Orioles. The Rangers end up winning that one 7-1 against the Tampa Bay Rays, and I'm just so damn excited. I imagine you are too, and you can get involved with the program at any given time on the truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what's going through your baseball Rangers mind right now, because look, man, I know that there was a lot of people, and I guess I shouldn't speak for everybody. I should speak for me. I had a little bit of trepidation coming in to this postseason for your Rangers, knowing that the bullpen is what the bullpen has been for the entirety of the season. And, even the worst stretches of this, the bullpen has been a real problem. Your starting pitching has taken you've seen a lot of injuries in that rotation, and you've seen some guys trying to work their ways back from injuries. Hello, Nathan Eovaldi, who managed to give you 6 2/3, only a single earned run, and that was in that 7th inning where he was trying to make it stretch. Man, this was a fantastic first 2 games. I think this is as good as it possibly could have gone for your Rangers. I think your manager, Bruce Bochy, said as much in the post-game interview on Bally Sports. But, man, this was just a fantastic showing. The bats came alive. You had a home run for both, as you heard earlier, Evan Carter. You heard a home run from Adolis Garcia. Man, this felt good. You had 2 starting pitchers give you quality starts. And you only had to have 3 arms total out of the bullpen in these 2 games. I don't know what could be better than that, considering the makeup of this team. And also knowing that, look, man, you can produce runs. And today you saw the run production. Yesterday, maybe you could say. Maybe you could look at the Tampa Bay Rays and the way they played in the field and we're like, oh, man, they gave that one to you. Hey, man, you went and took it in this game. And that was a fascinating thing to see from your Texas Rangers. So they're going to move on to the Baltimore Orioles. We'll talk more about that as the show goes along. But, yeah, man, let me know how you're feeling on this Victory Wednesday on 105.3 The Fan, because your Texas Rangers continue to play postseason baseball here in the year of our Lord 2023. Shout out to the 940 who says they're feeling old. Yeah, man. I can understand how that is, especially since it's been a little bit of a time since the Rangers have been in this position. But that should be some rejuvenation, seeing the way that these guys are playing, particularly the young cats. Man, Josh Young did some solid work in this one with a triple. in this game. Obviously, Evan Carter did what he needed to do. Like the young guys, the whole squad feeling young. Evaldi feeling like he turned back the clock a little bit. Now, mind you, that may have been to, I don't know, like June, but still, right? Man, can we talk about Evaldi? Nathan Evaldi turned it up in just the right moment. This is a dude who battled his way back and did not have a rehab start coming back from the IL, and he's looked so-so. Like, we've seen him start rounding away around to what we had seen from Nathan Evaldi early on in the season, but it wasn't all the way there. You would see peaks and valleys, maybe an inning here where it was like, oh man, this is good, or a couple innings, and then it would kind of fall back to a place where you're like, ooh, I don't know. And so the one starter that you felt like you could rely on in the postseason was Jordan Montgomery. Came out and gave you 7 of them things yesterday. And Nathan Evaldi was a little bit of a, all right, set him up there. We know the quality of pitcher that he can be. However, it's been a tough stretch for him. Hopefully he can get it right, and he got it all the way right. I mean, I was looking at Baseball Savant, fantastic website that uses the information and data from MLB to get an idea of some of the more advanced looks at baseball. And I was looking at some of the pitch velocity, some of the spin rate, some of the vertical and horizontal break on Nathan Evaldi's pitching in this very game. And I understand, man, this is not the end all be all. I'm still going to take a lot of deference to the likes of Mike Bassick, who you can hear on the K&C Masterpiece. You know, our friend Derek Holland, who will come on the station periodically. I'll put a lot of deference on guys that have played the position and understand some of the nuances of the game, but just from trying to get him back to where he needed to be. The spin rates, the pitch velocities, the breaks, they're starting to match the averages on the year for Nathan Evaldi. And what that told me is that the stuff is getting back to where it needed to be. And again, it had to happen. It had to happen today. It was a perfect time to have that happen and get you into another situation. And yeah, shout out to the 940 who again mentions playoff Nate, different beast. In fact, Nathan Evaldi was asked in a post-game interview on MLB Network if his game against the Los Angeles Dodgers earlier in his career in the World Series was a career turner. I found this very interesting, the information that he get or the response that he gave, because I think it was somewhat insightful into what you saw today from Nathan Evaldi.
You know, every time I see you now, I think about that game you pitched in Dodger Stadium in the World Series. And I'm just wondering, was that a career turner for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Anytime you get a little bit of experience in there, anytime, you get a World Series experience, the postseason and stuff, it helps out down the road for sure. And, it comes down to simplifying the game and, trying not to allow any walks, any leadoff hits, control the little things that you can go out there and control. And I feel like that allows you to have a little bit more success out there.
And look, man, this was an unmitigated success, man. This was absolutely big-time success for your Texas Rangers as they win 7-1 against the Tampa Bay Rays here. And I was just so proud and impressed with this squad to go on the road, to be able to put behind them kind of the tougher parts of the way the season ended. I know here on the truckwreck.com text line someone was mentioning that, after the way that the season ended, and here it is from the 817, they thought while it sucked not winning the division, they didn't take a break. Or they didn't think a break for this young team was beneficial. They thought the Rangers in the wild card gave them the best chance for a long playoff run. And here, man, you're in a situation where it's setting up to maybe give you that opportunity, man. And so, yeah, no, I know that the ways that the Rangers had an opportunity to salt away the AL West division title and didn't, maybe could break some squads mentally. And, I don't love diving into those mental spaces, but you know what? I understand that factors in sports sometimes. Nah, man, these dudes came out, they battled, they played well. They played with their head, like they played with their heads in the game. Because one thing you could talk about is their approaches at the plate. All good. I don't think that I can recall a very particular instance where I was like, that was a really bad approach at the plate. Bad at bat, bad eye. These guys stood in there, knew what they were doing, swung when it was necessary, did not swing when they were throwing junk. And you see your Rangers put up some crooked numbers, give you an opportunity to not have to delve into your bullpen and feel really good. Not just advance, but feel really good in advancing. So, man, I feel great. I'm excited. We'll talk more, as I mentioned, about what Baltimore faces as a challenge moving forward. But I'm just really excited about this moment. I want everybody to be excited in this moment. I kind of want to continue to get you guys' opinions and feelings on this from the 315. They say, man, if DeGrom and Scherzer were healthy, this team would be cooking. And yeah, man, I can't imagine that that's wrong, man. Like you have, again, talking about Nathan Eovaldi's postseason experience. DeGrom and Scherzer, right? Like those are guys that have tons of postseason experience and, great regular season play as well. Let's say from the 469, feeling confused that we got to this point, not to be a Debbie Downer, but they say they've been used to below average and expecting below average this year. But Chris Young did a great job in showing us what he wants to do, man. That's fair. They were very aggressive this year. Obviously, it starts in the offseason, making the signings that you did, and then it continues into the trade deadline, being aggressive in that way. Obviously, there is still complaints from me and a lot of other people about, hey, man, you could have gone harder on trying to, fill out this bullpen, but they felt like they did not want to delve as deep into their farm as would be necessary to add those additional pieces. And then something that, funny enough, I think Chris Young talked about in a post-game interview as well. Look, man, they went ahead and they called up Evan Carter in a time where there were some folks, myself, KG included, that were like, is that something you definitely want to do? Because things were kind of going bad. And throwing a guy into that situation to try and, raise the spirits of this club in a way, right? Trying to turn the things around felt like too much to put on that guy. They brought him up, and I don't think that they did that because Bruce Bochy is a fantastic manager of people. Chris Young, I imagine, is similar as well. And I don't think that they put all that pressure on that man, but he came up and he produced in a way bigger than I think most anybody could have expected for him. And then obviously the rest of the guys got healthy and started playing better. And now you're in a position where you have an opportunity to do something really, really special. From the 817, they say they're so pumped. They literally said this team had no chance and the pitching would give up 10 runs or more. And hell, you gave up a single run. In fact, the Tampa Bay Rays in the seventh inning there, they ended a streak of, I believe it's 33 innings without scoring. And of course, a decent amount of that was your team, your Texas Rangers, not allowing them to reach home. And I didn't anticipate these games going this way, man. I was worried that you were you're not going to have quality long starts from your starting pitchers. I mean, that's kind of the way the postseason plays oftentimes. They did not get themselves into bad situations. The defense helped them out mightily. Man, I just feel good. From the 940, where's KG? KG just hosted Cowboys Crosstalk. He'll be joining me shortly right here on the program. So don't be too mad. But from the 903, they say, I'm not going to lie, I was waiting for the season to end to get more Get Right. Look, man, Get Right's here for you. And we're still playing baseball. So, look, man, we can have it all right here on 105 through the Fan, your home of the Texas Rangers. From the 817, they say they're so proud. This team did it, and at least they took a huge step this year. Shout out Kimberly E. We love our women Tolos as well. Yeah, man, I'm trying not to look too far ahead because if there is a single team that I think was like the cream of the crop in the AL when it comes to this postseason, it's the Baltimore Orioles. And we'll talk more about that, I believe, at 9 o'clock here in about 45 minutes. But man, giving yourself an opportunity, and this is the best that the Rangers could be playing, I think, also leading up to playing a team like Baltimore. You've seen, again, I already mentioned it, man, great eye at the plate, doing a great job putting balls in play, making the Tampa Bay Rays defense that it looked shaky, making them make plays. Because there's one thing to say, hey, man, these dudes are shaky, they're committing errors, those things. You got to put the ball in play. Allow the ball to go find these guys. One thing that Mike Bassett kind of alludes to a lot when it comes to some of the new analytical approaches to baseball, where it's like launch angle and, get the ball up. And sometimes like, hey, man, get the ball in play and force them to make plays. We saw Yandy Diaz, man, have a horrible day yesterday at first base. And we saw some guys have some trouble. I mean, early on, we saw Margot, I believe it was, Corey Seager, in the second at bat of this game. A nice shot, it was a double off the center field wall. And it's just because Margot did not get the best break and obviously stumbles a little bit. And hey, man, you got to make those guys show up and do their jobs. And the Rangers put the ball in play, made them do their thing, got on the base pass, scored runs, and then gave their pitching, which, again, Nathan Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery did fantastic, showed up well. But give those guys a little bit of cushion, allow them to pitch with that run support and with that mentality. And so, man, I'm super excited for these Texas Rangers as they're continuing on in October baseball. Man, it feels good because this is the best time of year when it comes to baseball, is October baseball. And we get to keep having more of that. Of course, Saturday, you'll be able to hear your Texas Rangers right here on 105 through the Fan. I believe that's a noon o'clock start or first pitch for your Texas Rangers as they visit the Baltimore Orioles. Again, I said we'll talk more about that come 9 o'clock right here on the Get Right. But coming up next, which matchup will matter most for the Cowboys as they face the San Francisco 49ers? It's Cowboys-Niners week right here on 105 through the Fan.
We have you covered, Stars fans, with exclusive content from two-time Stanley Cup champion Greg Ludwig and NHL reporter Sean Shapiro. It's Spits and Suds, 3 times weekly on the Odyssey app or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up.
Dodge Ram Jeep.
Imagine if you could charge your electric vehicle at the places you already love to eat, shop, and play. Whether you're at the movies, on your weekly grocery trip, or running errands at your local mall, Volta EV charging stations are built around your day-to-day and located in your community and nationwide. All you have to do is check in, plug in, and go about your day. It's EV charging made convenient. Download the Volta app to find your new favorite place to charge.
This segment of the Get Right is brought to you by Frankel & Frankel. Life is unpredictable and accidents happen. Frankel & Frankel are the go-to attorneys for car, truck wrecks, in the DFW. And if your loved one have been injured in an accident, contact Frankel & Frankel for a free consultation at truckwreck.com or call 214 or 817-333-3333.
He's in on the count 1-2 to Arozarena. Harold Ramirez on deck. Here's the pitch. He struck him out swinging with a splitter. Big strikeout of Arozarena.
The Hall of Famer Eric Nadel on the call today as the good guys complete the clean sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays as they are headed to the American League Division Series to take on the Orioles, who were the best team in the American League this year. Shout out to the good guys, Bruce Bochy and company, for handling business today. It's the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105 through the Fan. Which matchup will matter most between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football when your Cowboys visit the 49ers in Santa Clara, California, where it's interesting, Reg, because the Cowboys, they can't beat the 49ers in the postseason, but they've beaten them the last 3 times during the regular season. So maybe that bodes well maybe for Cowboys fans who feel like there may not be something to look forward to when it comes to this matchup. You can beat them in the regular season.
Why would you say that? Because you know what's going to happen now, right?
What's that?
If the Cowboys win, people are going to be like, doesn't matter, do it in the postseason. You realize that that's what's going to happen, right?
That was going to happen either way because that's when it matters most, because San Francisco has taken out the Cowboys when it has mattered most each of the last 2 postseasons. Of course, you can catch the Dallas Cowboys on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network here on 105.3 The Fan with pregame with Eric Chiafalo and Brian Broaddus beginning Sunday afternoon. Make sure you come hang out with myself and Reg at 075 Beer Garden on Sunday evening for the watch party as we watch the Cowboys take on the 49ers. So you come hang out with me and Reg in the Get Right on Sunday evening for some good cheer, good times, and some good football.
And some 275 Miller Lights. I've heard that that's available to you.
Those are available. That's right.
I've heard that the nachos are very good.
Really?
Those are the things I'm working with.
Okay. Well, looking forward to that. We are looking forward to these matchups, though, between the Cowboys and the 49ers. Not just the historic rivalry between these two teams, Reg, but there's a lot of star power on the football field on Sunday night, what will be on Sunday night. When you look at San Francisco, obviously with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, probably the best running back in the NFL right now. On defense, you've got a guy in Fred Warner who's one of the best linebackers in all the NFL. Back on the offense with all-pro left tackle Trent Williams, stars galore for Kyle Shanahan's football team. Meanwhile, for Mike McCarthy, of course, he's got his own between Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and others who you can name on this team. Which matchup for you, Reg, will matter most when it comes to these two teams on Sunday Night Football?
All right, let's kind of crowdsource this. Y'all know how this goes. I'm not going to give you the answer right off the jump. Come on now. I feel like I have 3 answers.
Okay.
That are the possible situation. Now, of course, these aren't one-to-one matchups. These are kind of units. So the 3 that come to mind: Christian McCaffrey versus the Dallas run defense.
Woo!
The Dallas pass rush versus the San Francisco offensive line.
Okay.
And the Dallas offense versus the San Francisco defensive line.
Woo! Because they got a couple of good ones led by Javon Hargrave, who the Cowboys know rather well from his time in Philadelphia.
Is there a particular place you want to start there?
Oh, let's start with the defensive line of the San Francisco 49ers versus this offensive line, because we still got questions on whether or not Tyron Smith is going to play. Looking like right now, if I had to say right now, it doesn't look like Tyron's going to play on Sunday. That could be.
Yeah, you're not sure if he's going to play the whole season the way that you telling it.
Well, I mean, he's giving us good reason to feel that way.
Okay. All right.
Just saying. But let's start there with that one.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing that we could point to, obviously, Dak Prescott coming off of a very solid game, 261 yards, a touchdown, and a 108 passer rating in week 4. So, like, this is a team that has done solid when it came down to it, and honestly is not all that bad when we start talking about offensive line metrics, when we talk about pass, like kind of a conglomerate pass blocking and run blocking scores. They're not bad. They're not incredible, but they're not bad. And so, all things considered, they've been solid with the kind of mixing that they've had to do, with the amount of cover that they've had to have with the likes of Chuma Edoga playing left tackle and maybe TJ Bass having to come in, Brock Hoffman getting playing time. They've managed to handle this pretty well, but I don't know that they've seen something particularly like this. Obviously, you've had to face the Quentin Williams. You had Matthew Judon until he had to go out. Like, you've played some solid pass rushers, but having Joey Bosa and then the likes of Javon Hargrave and then, like Eric Armstead, like there's a lot of guys that are happening on this pass rush. Now, of course, they're not going to blitz a ton, but they don't need to blitz a ton if they are going to show up. And so this is going to be a really interesting test for this team, because everywhere you go on this front is a good player, and they're going to hold their own. And you have to straight up block those dudes. It's not necessarily going to be as much of, we got to figure out how to get all 6 of these dudes. Oh no, it's 4 of them. Can you handle them? Because it's a lot there.
Yeah, this is the matchup for me that is going to matter most, because for each of these two teams, the trenches is where you see a lot of the strengths for these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, for the San Francisco 49ers, you mentioned guys like Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave. Oh, that's right, the reigning defensive player of the year, and Nick Bosa is also on that San Francisco 49er defensive line as well. How this Cowboys offensive line holds up, and not just pass protection, with allowing Dak Prescott to maybe find some of those more long developing routes to allow guys like Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb to, exploit things down the field for them. This rushing attack for the Cowboys is going to matter a lot to try to create control on the offense, to try to keep that high octane offense of San Francisco off the field. If the Cowboys offensive line shows up on Sunday night, that's going to tell me a lot about what we could see both offensively and defensively, because that'll bode well for Dan Quinn's defense and their ability to stay fresh and stay after these, playmakers in San Francisco. The trenches for me is where it's at and what matters most for me, given how really good both of these lines are, particularly when they're healthy, and what that means for what this game and the complexion of this game could look like from a physicality standpoint, which is something we know San Francisco is known for quite a bit.
Sure. And I mean, you've talked about the run and the ability and the necessity of the Cowboys to run and make sure that they're staying ahead of the chains. They've been really good on third down, but I imagine you don't want to test it too much. You don't want to give this defensive line opportunities to do what they say, pin their ears back, and then obviously let, the likes of Fred Warner and Lenore and all the other guys on the back end. And I know I feel bad saying all the other guys, because there's a lot of good ones over there in the secondary, not allowing to let them, just get involved in the game and have possibilities of turnovers and those types of things. I think you're right that this is going to be an important one. I don't know if it's the most important one. The one that I lean towards, and tell me if you think I'm wrong here, I think it's the Christian McCaffrey versus the Dallas run defense.
That's a massive one. It's a massive one.
Can I throw some numbers at your head here?
Sure.
Christian McCaffrey has averaged 4.7 yards per carry in all 4 games thus far. Obviously, he has reached the end zone rushing the football every single game, and he leads the NFL in rushing. Right? That's a dude to be contended with. You mentioned that, that their team MVP is probably Christian McCaffrey. He might be the league MVP through 4 weeks. That's the way that he has been playing. And honestly, it's something that I've said that since last year, that Niners team really got cooking when they went and acquired Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And so, like, he really does establish what they do. And even if I don't want to sit here and like wax poetic about the Niners and how good they are, but the thing that I find to be most important about this, they're going to be able to stay on the field running the football. And if you're not able to stop them running the football, you're not going to force them to throw the football. I don't know how much you're going to create turnovers in that way. And then you're just going to heap a lot of pressure upon your offense, which is not the way that this team seems to want to be built. It's not the way that this team was structured and the way that they want to play. Obviously, the offense is capable of getting up and down the field, but you do not want to have now have a track meet of sorts or have a boat race of sorts when it comes to putting up points, because you can't stop the run of Christian McCaffrey getting free, right? Like that's probably the cheapest way that you want that they're going to get up the field is just letting them run down your throat, on top of the idea of how demoralizing it is to have a team or have a person run on you over and over and over and over again. Shout out to Marshawn Lynch. So I just feel like that, especially knowing that the defense or the run defense has in the past been a problem for the Cowboys. And while we are seeing it look like they have done some measure of solving it, this is the real test on if that is like just duct tape over it or if it's like a real solution that can be in some ways depended upon.
And in some ways, you kind of solidify my point on why I feel like the trenches are going to be what matters most when it comes to both sides of these teams, when it comes to both the offensive and defensive lines, because you take it to the Cowboys and their defensive line, obviously the matchup based on what San Francisco likes to do and how much diversity they show in their offense by deploying Christian McCaffrey, whether it be out of the backfield as a pass catcher, same with Deebo Samuel and others, you have got to be extremely disciplined and make sure that you are making your run fits where they need to be, because otherwise, if you start running past McCaffrey, you start trying to run by Deebo Samuel and trying to get out there and go into business for yourself, you're going to get gashed, and you're going to get gashed quite often. So DeMarcus Lawrence setting the edge, Osa Odighizuwa, Micah Parsons.
Oh, you speaking a word right now.
All of these guys have got to find a way to ensure that they are not getting tricked based on something they think they see and then watch Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel and others run by them. Brandon Ayuk is part of that as well. So that, for me, is why I stayed with the trenches when it comes to both of these teams and for the Cowboys in particular, because if you don't set the edge, if you don't find yourself remaining disciplined against Kyle Shanahan and his offense, he will use that aggressiveness against you to be able to utilize the speed of an Ayuk and a physicality of a Samuel and the combined speed and physicality of a Christian McCaffrey, who I think is underrated when it comes to a guy who can run in between the tackles as well.
Yes.
McCaffrey can do it all.
However, right, like he can do that. However, you want him to remain between the tackles. This is, shout out to S. Dawkins, this is a do your job week, right?
Yes.
Discipline is the name of the game when it comes to these guys. We've seen, and I think I've lamented to you, even as good as DeMarcus Lawrence has been stopping the run, sometimes he does the thing where he knifes inside on some hero ball stuff, and then that bounce outside is a problem. And this is the issue with that. You've got guys who are willing tacklers on the outside. However, that's not the matchup you want. You don't want the likes of Stephon Gilmore and Deron Bland having to make your tackles. And you don't want Leighton Vander Esch having to track and make a tackling angle out to the outside, right? A recovering angle. You don't want your safeties having to make that angle out to the perimeter to try and make a tackle. You want those guys in the middle of the park where you can get the most Cowboys in there. You can have your linebackers coming downhill as opposed to running sideways. That's where you want to try and make tackles as opposed to out on the outsides, because we mentioned Christian McCaffrey, and he deserves all that credit. Somebody also mentioned here on the truckwreck.com text line from the 469, I'm looking for how they're going to stop Deebo. He's the one that's been beating us, and he is another asset, right?
Sure.
They didn't even bother using him in that aspect last week. And I'm like, oh, that just means saving more runs for the Cowboys, right? Like, and maybe that is just me being a little fearful, but look, there's good reason to fear. That is a dude who is absolutely capable of doing those things, especially with the speed and pace that he has if he gets to the outside in open space. So making sure that you contain these guys, making sure that you keep them within the parameters of what your defensive assignments are, so that now you have an opportunity to tackle as a team, to rally to the football and make some stops, turn the ball over, and hopefully win this game.
I wonder how much the Cowboys will use 8-man boxes and 8-man fronts when they have the opportunities to do so in this game, knowing how much of the rushing attack is a part of what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. I'm very interested in the chess match between Kyle Shanahan and Dan Quinn on Sunday night and how these two deploy all the talent that they have on both offense for Kyle Shanahan and on defense, obviously, for Dan Quinn, and what that looks like and how it plays itself out. Because it starts in the trenches with these guys, but you talked about it on the outsides with these guys and their abilities for San Francisco to cover what it looks like with Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, and, of course, Michael Gallup. And then on the other side, how these defensive backs, Stephon Gilmore, Deron Bland, the physicality of a Jaron Kearse, how he fits in terms of stopping the run, but what those two corners do against terrific receivers in Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. This is the kind of game that you're going to find out what kind of team, not just when you have from a talent standpoint, but more so, how does your scheme play up against a guy in Kyle Shanahan and his offense who looks to exploit a lot of different things that you want to do on defense.
I don't feel terribly about the Cowboys scheme. obviously, I recently rewatched that game against San Francisco, and one thing that I can remember from the last two disappointing outcomes for your Dallas Cowboys, your team as a whole didn't play terrible. Well, I mean,
defensively they were very good that
game.
day. Yeah.
What really got them, particularly against the Niners, was like stupid stuff. Right, obviously not being disciplined, but to another level, penalties. Shooting yourself in the foot.
Yes.
Right, on third down and making, killing drives, extending drives for your opponent by making boneheaded mistakes. Those are the things that'll mess you up. That was a 19-12 game against the Niners where you constantly, at every given point, gave yourself a shot into your foot. If you don't do that, this is a team that can match up well with the Niners, and it should be a really fun one.
Cowboys take on the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. You can hear that game on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Kickoff at 7:20. NFC supremacy on the line between two bitter rivals when it comes to the Cowboys and 49ers. It's the Get Right with Reggie KG right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, we go around the National Football League where the Patriots and Chargers engaged in the Twilight Zone with this corner. Next on the Get Right.
Coming up on the next KNC Masterpiece. Do the Cowboys have an edge against the San Francisco 49ers? If so, what is it? Plus, we break it down the way we know how as Mike Bassett gives you everything from Rangers Rays. Join the KNC Masterpiece right here on 105.3 The Fan.
Nothing turns game day into a great day like stocking up at Specs and cheering on the Cowboys. As a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, Specs has everything you need to turn your pregame party into a full-on football feast. With lower prices on a stadium-sized selection of world-class wines, spirits, beers, seltzers, and gourmet foods, Specs is your one-stop shop for all your game day essentials. Cowboy up at Specs. The fun starts here.
Dos Equis knows Texas A&M game day is filled with
on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. The truckbreak.com text line 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. If you want to get in on the conversation coming up at the top of the hour, get back into the Texas Rangers after what was a terrific all-around win today. Shout out to Evan Carter, who has put on a show so far in these playoffs for the good guys. We'll get back into the Rangers conversation as they get ready to head to Baltimore.
That's right.
To take on the Orioles, who were the champions of the AL East this year.
I guess I'm gonna need to do a booking because someone on the YouTube, Chris Senceros, said, "Where's Vach at?" So you know what?
Oh,
I might have to do that for the people. I might have to hit our guy up.
Oh, we might have to make the call to Vach, huh?
Yeah, I might have to do that.
It is about time for a little bit of Vach on the get right. So we may have to make that happen here soon.
What I'm very thankful for is we got a lot of friends that love giving us a little bit of their time to talk about various things, particularly Cowboys. So there's a few of them that I probably need to get on the phone line.
Let's go around the National Football League. We go right here on your home with the Cowboys and Texas Rangers. We start with, everything is cyclical, it feels like, at some point in life, one time or another. And the Patriots and the Chargers are like, you know what? We're going to actually do that today. And the Patriots have reacquired cornerback J.C. Jackson. The Patriots have agreed to a trade with the Chargers for corner J.C. Jackson, sources tell ESPN today. The Patriots are sending a 2025 sixth-round pick to the Chargers, who will send Jackson, and a 2025 seventh-round pick to New England. Now, to facilitate the trade, the Patriots and Chargers are reworking Jackson's remaining $9.33 million for this year, with New England covering about $1.5 million of that, and the Chargers covering the rest in a signing bonus. Do you know how bad you got to be for we'll pay you to leave?
Well,
we'll pay you to leave.
Here's the thing. I'm not even sure if you can say that this is about how bad the J.C. Jackson was, which he just did not seem to work out with the Chargers. It's a weird thing because obviously the Patriots, he was good last year with the Patriots. The Patriots need a cornerback. Seeing as Christian Gonzalez, it seems like he might not play for the rest of the season, which does really stink because that dude was cooking early. So yeah, go back to where it works. J.C. Jackson had basically been taken off the field because he was not working with the Chargers.
He was made a healthy scratch at one point.
And they just gave him the contract a few, this offseason, they were just like, let's go get us a J.C. Jackson. Yeah, that'll help. And you know who's in charge of the defense for the Chargers?
That would be Brandon Staley.
Hey, man, him, Tom Telesco. What is y'all doing over there, man? Y'all got 3 weeks in. We're like, damn, this is not working.
Get him out of here.
And had to pay to send him away literally less than a month into you having his contract? Or less than a month into the season of you having him there. That's wild.
Yeah, man. Jackson's contract, which runs through the 2026 season, will stay intact otherwise based on what they're done. But you mentioned the reason why they had to make this trade. Patriots rookie corner Christian Gonzalez suffered a shoulder injury. It's a torn labrum. And he may be out for the rest of the season. Of course, Jackson signed a 5-year, $82.5 million deal
5 years
with the Chargers last offseason.
How do you offer someone a 5-year, $85 million deal in a few weeks in, like, ooh, we messed up, my bad, can't play him?
Chargers going full Chargers on
that is in. How does it? But you know what? This kind of also happens a decent amount with Patriots players. Great, and then
they always find their way back.
The Patriots are like, you can go now, and they're like, he's still good.
You know what Patriots, players are. You know what they remind me of? The Huxtable kids. Every time they left, they always found their way back home for some particular reason.
That is not the analogy I thought you were going to use. It works. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
They eventually find their way back home, no matter how much you send them away. Here come Kyle Van Noy. Here comes J.C. Jackson. Here come whomever. They all find their way back to New England at some point.
You can always go back home.
I guess so. By the way, he was an all-pro and second in the NFL in interceptions before he signed with the Los Angeles Chargers. He had spent his first 4 seasons at Jackson in New England and then cashed in with the Los Angeles Chargers, only for him to get sent back. Here, check this out. This will make you laugh. Last season, J.C. Jackson allowed a career worst 149.3 passer rating when targeted before suffering his season-ending rupture to the patella tendon in his right knee.
Oh, that's why. Okay,
in
see,
week 7.
I did forget. He did play for the Chargers last year, so okay,
Yeah.
I'll give them a little bit of leeway there. But I
mean, it's not much better this year.
I didn't recall it because he just missed a lot of time because of the injury.
Yeah, it's not much better this year. He's allowing a 72 passer rating when targeted. That's second worst in his career.
That's tough.
Maybe he can find it again with Bill Belichick in New England. Good luck with that, JC. Good luck with that.
Awful.
Somebody who's looking for a job, that would be one Randy Gregory. He was cut today by the Denver Broncos.
Mr. Unlimited.
What are you doing right now?
All right. And of course, we all know how things ended for Randy Gregory here in Dallas, and then he went to Denver to go get the same contract with a little different language.
Yeah, just a little bit different. It's funny because it wasn't the actual financial terms; it was the language.
It was the language. That's right.
Up.
That's right. Yeah, he's cut. So he's a free agent, and he will be looking for another home. The Denver Broncos going with the quote-unquote youth movement excuse for them and their defense when it comes to releasing Randy Gregory.
All right, in a vacuum, Randy.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, it doesn't. I don't think it's going to happen because you missed this during Crosstalk. Brian Broaddus was talking about how he had talked with Randy, and Randy had basically been like, "Hey, man, over there, it seems like they just got a lot of dudes," which the Cowboys absolutely do, right? Like, and he's just like, "I don't know that'll, So it seems like Randy is just looking at maybe not having the space with the Dallas Cowboys. So
who are you giving Randy Gregory snaps in favor of?
Dante Fowler,
who just had a strip sack fumble last week.
I said what I said.
Okay.
Outside of that, I don't like.
Yeah, there's no room here. There's no room.
If I wanted to be real spicy, I'd say Dorrance Armstrong, but I'm not even sure if I feel that.
You're doing a lot. You feel good about yourself?
No, I don't. I'll say that very honestly. I don't.
The 30-year-old signed a 5-year, $70 million deal in March of 2022. His $14 million base salary this season and another $5 million next season are fully guaranteed. So there's that. But yeah, Randy Gregory looking for a new home. I'm interested to see where he lands.
I mean, one of the things is we continue to talk about the Patriots. Matthew Judon just went down. Like, that could be a thing that they do.
Maybe. They could use a pass rusher in New England who are just down bad, period, when it comes to injuries at this particular point. Speaking of down bad, Matt Eberflus, quote, feels the support from the Chicago Bears brass amid their, losing streak at this particular point.
That's kind of the issue, isn't it?
Is that the dreaded vote of confidence right there?
I don't know. Because this is the thing.
Because Chicago's lost 14 straight. There's nothing pretty going on right now in Chicago.
One of the issues for me is like the vote of confidence assumes that like the people offering that vote have some level of competence to them, and they're like, we're telling you this right now, but ultimately we might have to do the thing that we have to do. I don't know about that entire organization. I've stressed it way too much, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I know y'all tired of hearing me about it. That whole thing is bad top to bottom. And so I don't trust none of them decision makers up
top. Him saying, quote, our sole focus is on Washington and that anything else is just a distraction. They really got out here and was like, hey, it's a good idea to put the Chicago Bears and the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football for y'all to consume tomorrow night.
Look, man, eventually you're just going to get some stinkers.
Gross.
And there's a lot. Well, I shouldn't say stinkers because, look, man, it's the NFL. You've seen this. Sometimes you get the teams on there and it's like, oh, this actually was kind of interesting. How likely is that? I don't know. But look, man, eventually we just got to put these teams on the games, right? And some of this is also, look, man, y'all going to watch it regardless.
Oh, I'm not watching that. Actually, I might because we have to do it.
There it is. You see how that happened? You see how quickly that happened? Look, man,
okay.
One thing the NFL knows about us as a public, as a football, love us some football. Good, bad, ugly. In fact, some of y'all like it when it's worse. I don't know how, but they do.
Ooh, okay. Speaking of worse, did you see what happened with Jamal Adams on Monday night? He got the concussion,
Yeah.
But apparently he went off on a doctor as well. I had missed that part.
I missed that as well.
I had missed that part. Yeah.
Hold on.
Jamal Adams, as the NFL most disciplined for Seattle Seahawks safety Jamal Adams, as they're considering discipline against him for his actions toward the independent concussion doctor appointed by the NFL and the NFLPA following his sideline evaluation on Monday night, where he had to leave the game after just 9 plays after suffering concussion when he took a knee to his helmet while trying to bring down Daniel Jones. But you could see on the sideline, apparently, that Adams emerged from the medical tent, and was just livid and going off on the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultants while having to be held back by the team's head athletic trainer and 2 members of the Seahawks security staff. So Jamal Adams wasn't thrilled. He did issue an apology today, though.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
On social media.
Where he said, quote, "First and foremost, I want to apologize to the OG. You did everything right when you realized I was concussed."
Not the OG.
Look, man. I'm just reading verbatim. And I continue to read verbatim when he says, "I apologize for any negative energy I brought your way." He really threw the
negative energy?
Gen Z vibes on the one thing you can say, you know that Jamal Adams' PR team did not type that up.
Did not put that together.
And if
not
they
a
did,
single bit.
If they did, he did that thing that you used to do in middle school where you were like, "Hey, let me copy your paper," and they're like, "All right, but you got to change some stuff so they know it don't look the same." He was like, "No, I got you. Instead of I apologize to that man, I'm gonna write the OG." That's
the OG. Yeah.
I apologize for the negative energy and vibes.
Negative energy. You was out here clowning the neurotrauma doctor. They was trying to help. They trying to protect you. They trying to protect you.
Saying. That's what he's saying. So look, someone on the text line said the Cowboys dodged a couple of bullets with a couple of guys that we were talking about in this segment. Randy Gregory, Jamal Adams. Do you concur?
Actually, they didn't dodge a bullet with Randy Gregory. They were very willing to sign Randy Gregory. He just decided he didn't like the language and the way that Jerry was talking to him in that contract.
That's a way you can dodge a bullet.
It wasn't one the Cowboys chose. It was one Randy chose by way of not liking the language in his deal. But yeah, I said it the other night when it came to Jamal Adams. I was one of the ones who very loudly was like, "Hey, man, that dude wants to come play in Dallas." I've always been a big believer in guys and gals who say they want to play in a certain city, that you're going to get a lot out of them and the most out of them. And if somebody wants to come play for your franchise, you should try to do something to go get them. Yeah. It worked out with Jamal Adams because he hasn't hardly played at all over the last year, and now he's out with a concussion. So,
and jokes aside, man, like this is kind of like the football culture that all these dudes are indoctrinated into very early. Is like this idea of, if you can, go out there and play. And obviously, like, this is why you have an independent arbiter in the first place. It's someone who, outside of the realm of the pressures of football, that forces dudes back onto the field when they're probably not ready. Someone that is willing to, be able to say, "Hey, no, that is not best for you."
As we get ready to end around the NFL here, last one here, let me ask you a question real quick. What happens if Cincinnati loses to Arizona on Sunday?
Maybe you actually put Browning on the field. That's not a good thing. Like, this is the issue. The issue seems to be entirely that dude is just hurt. And so that makes him gun shy, and the whole thing is built around him being able to actually distribute the football and push the ball down the field.
Joe Burrow looks like a shell of himself. He said, quote, "The Bengals need a win for morale." This is if there's an early season must win, this is it for Cincinnati, because if they lose and drop to 1-4 after losing to Arizona potentially on Sunday, they're already in trouble. They're in deep trouble in the AFC North if they lose on Sunday to Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like, you had a dude who had 7 receptions in a game come out and complain about the way that he was getting targeted.
Woo!
If that doesn't scream bad morale.
Yeah, I don't know what does, because Jamar Chase made it very clear, hey, give me the damn ball. Okay? He just went full Keyshawn on the Cincinnati Bengals. That's your trip around the National Football League here on the Get Right with Reggie KG right here on 105.3 The Fan. For people who, see me in a different locale than Reg, I'm at the Star in Frisco. Shout out to the Cowboys.
Always working.
Trying to handle business there. Coming up next, somebody and a team that handled business today. Your Texas Rangers did so. They are on the Baltimore. What should we expect from the Rangers in the American League Division Series. We talk about it next on 105.3 The Fan.
Mr. Unlimited. Yeah.
Miss any show segments? Tisk, tisk, tisk. But fear not. You can go back and listen to our fan shows, and it's easier than ever on the Odyssey app. Check it out.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car right in your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro.
Time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Hour number 2 of the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula, Rigo Mendoza hold it down for you. You turn it on, leave it on station. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. What are we expecting as the good guys, your Texas Rangers, head to the American League Division Series to take on the Baltimore Orioles? We'll discuss that here on your home of the Texas Rangers, at Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Atatula if you want to get at us on Twitter. Coming up in 18 minutes, which NFL players have made themselves some money through the first month of the season? We'll get back into the NFL coming up in about 17 minutes. The truckred.com text line 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053 if you want to get in on the conversation with you until 11 o'clock tonight here on 105.3 The Fan. It was a glorious day in St. Petersburg, Florida, as the Texas Rangers, behind a terrific performance from Nathan Eovaldi, the young man Evan Carter, who has shined bright on the big stage of the MLB playoffs so far. In fact, Rigo, hit me with cut number 4, because my man has gone smooth off so far in these playoffs and has got Rangers fans loving the way he's performed so far.
Now 2 outs. Carter, the batter, with the runner at third. And that one is swung on and hit deep to right. Way back there. That ball is history. The kid has done it again. Evan Carter with a laser 2-run homer. The Rangers lead 4-0. He has not made an out in postseason in 6 plate appearances, 3 extra base hits, and 3 walks.
The Hall of Famer Eric Nadel on the call today. That was part of a terrific 4th inning for the Texas Rangers as they put up 4 runs, starting with Adolis Garcia with his solo shot to begin that 4th inning in what was an all-around great game today. Now the attention turns to the American League Division Series, which begins on Saturday, Reg, when the Texas Rangers go to Baltimore to begin their 7-game series.
Am I gonna be the Debbie Downer again? You bet your bottom dollar. This is the team in the AL that I think is like, clearly they are the 1 seed in the AL, but it felt very clear that this was like the cream of the crop, and everybody else was going to contend for second. And after that, I've been penciling the O's into the World Series at this point. Now, of course, you hope that the Rangers, in the way that they have shown offensively in these first 2 games, are able to do something against them. But I have a few concerns that I'm going to speak on.
Okay.
Here. First of all, I would like to use this opportunity to very much praise the starting pitching that your Rangers have gotten in the wild card series. When you talk about Jordan Montgomery going 7, you talk about Nathan Eovaldi going 6 2/3, and both of those were really, really good. Now, of course, remember, as the A17 reminds us, it's a best of 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is a best of 5. I'm sorry, the DS. I'm sorry.
Who is your starting pitcher? Because you were already asking that question for a potential Game 3 in the wild card series.
Well, based on the way this is going down, today's Wednesday. Jordan Montgomery started yesterday.
Start him on short rest?
You can possibly start him on short rest.
Come back around to Eovaldi on short rest?
It's for me, I guess I'm looking at either Jordan Montgomery or Dane Dunning starting Game 1 of the American League Division Series.
And Dane Dunning, remember we talked to Mike Bassick last night, and one of the things that he mentioned is that even if Dane Dunning started, that might not be like you might not be getting or hoping for a complete start in that instance. You might be getting a few innings, maybe like 3-4 innings, and then bullpen after that. And one of the things that we talked about was hopefully limiting your bullpen in some ways, understanding the limits that they have displayed over time. You only had to use 3 bullpen arms in the wild card series. That's not going to be the same thing. It's already been announced that Dane is pitching. Okay, so I missed that announcement.
I had not seen that. Okay.
Now, where I haven't seen an announcement, of course, our great Tolos on the truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053. Let me know if you've seen it, because I just ran a search again. The Orioles have not specified, at least to my knowledge, who their starters are going to be. Likely it'll be Kyle Bradish in Game 1 and Grayson Rodriguez in Game 2. Kyle Bradish, clear ace for the Orioles, has a 2.83 ERA through the season. 2.83 through the season, and through his last 7 games has a 2.20 ERA. That's a bad man.
Oh boy,
that's a bad man as a starter. Now maybe you think, especially with the bats that this team has, hopefully you get him out of the game, knock him out of the game relatively early. Again, it's the postseason. If you can threaten enough, you might be able to get into the bullpen. Orioles bullpen has been a monster all season, right? And obviously Felix Bautista is like a legitimate closer that, unfortunately for them, they lost when he tore his UCL. Now, when it comes to the Orioles, their ERA in 128 games through August 25th, when Bautista tore his UCL, they had a 3.55 ERA. Remember that number, 3.55. Their Orioles bullpen ERA in the 34 games after that was a 3.54.
Okay.
So, like, this pitching is going to be tough.
Yeah.
You are going to have to make
You
it.
got your work cut out for you.
Absolutely. It's going to be tough for you offensively against this team. So you're going to have to be really solid. Again, you had great approaches at the plate in this wild card series. I don't know if you could turn that up, but you're going to need to keep it at the same high level, good eye, good approaches, because this is going to be a team that is tough to battle when it comes to the pitching that you're going to be seeing.
Shout out to the 860 said that Jared Sandler had discussed that. I had not had a chance to listen to the pregame or the postgame, I should say, afterwards when the Rangers took care of business against the Tampa Bay Rays. But look, at the same time, when you look at what's going on for the Texas Rangers based off of what they've done so far in the series, what I'm expecting now moving forward is how much do these young guys continue to show up in these big moments, because we saw not just Evan Carter today, but also Josh Young and how well he performed in the clincher for the Texas Rangers today as well. Can these youngsters continue to put forward the kind of performances the way that they have done so far in the postseason to help this Rangers team? If you can get those contributions from those guys as well, you obviously have seen Adolis Garcia had the home run today as well. Seager, Simeon. If you're going to get these contributions from these young guys, you got yourself a good chance, even with how good Baltimore is in terms of what they present from a pitching staff standpoint.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see these Rangers go up against the Baltimore Orioles. But look, man, I think that you're playing great baseball right now, which is great, right? Obviously, you want to be playing your best baseball this time of year. I just know that that's a really tough team to face off against, and they're going to make it tough on you. I imagine they're not going to have the same issues that Tampa had, which, by the way, were you surprised to see Tampa again playing relatively poorly in the field?
Unserious on the defensive side for the Tampa Bay Rays. Kevin Cash got a lot of explaining to do with his ball club, because it did not feel like they came up and were ready to play at all in each of these first two games, in both of the games of the series. And it showed in the field in particular with how sloppy they were defensively in both of these ball games. So, yeah, Kevin Cash got a lot to answer for, because for Tampa to be as good as they were throughout the regular season, to come up extremely small in the wild card round against the Texas Rangers, yeah, he's got some questions that he needs to answer this offseason, because that team has been too good for them to have the kinds of results and not being able to make it deeper, especially this year with the talented team that they have.
So real quick, I want to let our listenership know, and Rodrigo, please help me with this because you're the one who's seeing it. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said flash flood warning for Dallas County?
Yeah, that would be in Dallas County and Rockwall, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Okay, so y'all be safe out there. There's a flash flood warning for Dallas County and Rockwall, as my friend Rodrigo is letting me know. So yeah, be safe out there. I see a lot of folks out there.
Rockwall.
Okay, yeah. So
okay,
if you could double check for me how long that one is underway for, because obviously, KG, you're going to be in place until 11 at least. So we'll see if that continues through when you were supposed to be out on the roads.
Hell, I might need to spend the night at the Star in Frisco at that game. Which my wife would not be too thrilled about. But no, at the same time, look, man, and from the TruckRed.com text line, 877-881-1053 from 972, steal a game there. If we play this way, we've got a chance. And look, you're a team that's playing with house money. You feel good, obviously, about what you did in Tampa. You've got terrific starting pitching performances from Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi. The offense was really good in this series as well. And now you got a chance against the best team in the American League to go in there, play free, have fun, and let's see what happens in this series where you're not picked to win against Baltimore. But if the offense, which was arguably the best in the American League and statistically was the best in the league in the American League all season long, let's see what that looks like against that pitching staff, and whether or not the challenge is accepted by these hitters to be able to make something happen and be able to steal maybe game one in this series to make sure that you have a real legitimate chance to maybe beat Baltimore in the division series.
So that flash flood warning I was telling you about goes till 12:15 a.m. So it's gonna be tough out there. Be careful Now, KG, did you see that? Obviously, we talked about how DeGrom, Scherzer, whole bunch of Cy Youngs that are sitting on the sideline right now because of injuries. Max Scherzer had another step in his rehab. Apparently, he had a intense bullpen session today for more than 3 hours before the game. And apparently, according to Evan Grant at Dallas Morning News, twice he emphatically shouted, "Finally." So it sounds like there's a level of kind of relief on him. He seems excited to be getting that opportunity to have like a full bullpen as opposed to kind of like a light bullpen, which he had done last week. Now, of course, what's interesting to see in the recovery process is how he responds to that. Because last time he had the light bullpen, and he said that it, quote, amplified the soreness in the muscle. So obviously how it reacts is going to be necessary. But if that's good, if there's a good reaction to that on the backside, maybe, just maybe, provided that your offense continues to play the way that you needed to, provided the entire team shows out the way they need to, you can maybe just maybe see Max Scherzer back on the field in a way that's real. Because I understand, like, we've had these conversations in kind of the abstract, but it all felt so far away that I wasn't wanting to engage with it. This feels just a little bit more tangible now.
Yeah, Tim Kirchin of ESPN was detailing during the game that, reaching 90 miles an hour in terms of the bullpen session that he was throwing today. I still don't think, though, that you will see him, obviously, in the division series. My guess would be you probably wouldn't see him even if they made it to the American League Championship Series. The earliest I feel like would be if you were able to get him back for the World Series, if you make it that far, then that's where you would see a Max Scherzer, still maybe a few weeks away from returning. But as you mentioned, another positive step moving forward for him, and he's getting closer to maybe being a contributor to this team during the postseason. But I'm not bringing Max Scherzer back until you feel confident that he is as close to 100% at this point in the season as he can be, given the stakes of what you're dealing with, obviously, in the postseason right now. So, look, I'm happy, though. This is my Mizzou guy, man, Max Scherzer. So I'm happy to see him get out there and handle business. But more importantly, the Texas Rangers win the wild card round, and they take out the Tampa Bay Rays with the clean sweep today. Shout out to a gutsy performance from Nathan Eovaldi. A lot of talk about how poor he was, obviously, during the second half of the year, continuing to rehab at the major league level, put together one hell of a performance today when his team needed it most to help them advance to take on the Baltimore Orioles. That division series begins on Saturday. By the way, that game one on Saturday, 12 o'clock, high noon. There's going to be a lot going on between Texas, OU, the Rangers taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Like, a lot going on Saturday, mid-morning and afternoon. So a lot to tune in if you are a fan of those two teams in particular. It's to Get Right with Reggie KG right here on 105 through the Fan. Coming up next, we get back into the NFL conversation. Which of these players has made themselves some money during the first month of the season, including this Dallas Cowboy? We do it next on 105 through the Fan.
The more you listen, the harder we grind. The headlines are created here.
or maybe not. There's some guys that have made themselves some money so far this season, and we're to the point now in the NFL year where we can kind of start doing some evaluation of some of these teams based on what they've put out on tape so far. And there are also guys that we can look at and say, what will their next contracts begin to look like based on what they've done so far this season? This comes from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, who covers the NFL on a national level.
Always does good work.
I will say, this is no real shade toward him. His stuff is always like extra long. Like,
long form?
Yeah, he got a long form stuff, man. And I'd be like, oh damn, Jeremy, I got 15 minutes right now to read your, long ass article.
Got to skim.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got to go, go to the give me the cliff notes.
That's
bullet points of this stuff, man. But he does have some good stuff here when it comes to some of these players who have made themselves some money. He breaks it down into what is 5 different categories, which are top performers among free agents to be, unsung players getting paid, not free agents but will get big deals, more free agent quarterback stock, need a better October. Those are the 5 categories that he has. Is there a category in particular that you would like to go to as we see who has made themselves some money so far this?
There's actually a particular individual that I would like to go to because I need mea culpas. I'm big on being very honest with when the times that I am wrong.
Okay.
And appreciating the times that I'm right. But in this instance, we're talking about the wrong. All right. And I don't even feel like I've been that wrong. However, this man has showed out and it is within the category of more free agent quarterback stock.
Okay.
There's a man who signed a very short-term deal to follow in the steps of one Thomas Brady. Baker Mayfield has been hooping.
Baker Mayfield
for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's been playing very well. Ranked 7th in QBR according to Jeremy Fowler. And when it comes down to like advanced metrics, top 5 when it comes to EPA and completion percentage over expected. Like he is doing very well with himself, showing out incredibly well. And that's a team that I think that. I don't want to speak for anybody else. It's not a good way of playing this. But I think for me, I think some of the reasons why that team was not as good last year was ignored because, like, there's still a lot of talent on that team. And that man has done a good job of facilitating within that system and doing what is necessary to, play well while still picking up a decent amount of yards through the air, And so he's doing a damn good job on a team that a lot of people wrote off and talked badly about him. Now, to be fair to everybody else, including myself on the outside, they was talking about playing Kyle Trask instead of you, my boy. But Baker Mayfield rose to the challenge, and I definitely was allowing some past negativity to cloud my judgment there. Baker Mayfield looked really good through the first month of the season.
He has. You give him a lot of credit for what he's been able to do so far this year, and more importantly, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're playing good football at 3-1, and Baker Mayfield has been a part of that. Now, here's the question that I have when it comes to whether or not you're going to decide if Baker Mayfield keeps this up going into what may be a decent contract for him if he stays with Tampa. How much are you willing to invest with him knowing that Mike Evans isn't playing ever again for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after this season? Because there's that. Because Mike Evans, after this year, he's not coming back to Tampa. It's not happening.
And that's a dude who has also set himself up for some money.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And I'm not sure how much you're supposed to invest in Baker Mayfield as your future, anyways.
True.
I think that needs to be some level of stopgap. But if you have so much talent, if you're still able to maintain some of it. Understanding that the defense has been gnarly, right? When you have a defense of that caliber and you have a division that's winnable in that way, historically, the way the NFL teams have played it is that you put the things around you to necessarily try and go and do a level of winning that gives you close to doing this. And I don't know, unless they're going to do some real tearing this apart, I think that you have to kind of buy in on that in a certain way where, all right, he can distribute in the way that we need to get all this talent in a place where maybe you can make the playoffs and then do, I don't know, something.
Well, You know who we else thought was a stopgap for a while, and you should be particular.
Who, Eugene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seattle thought that Geno Smith was a stopgap, and turns out, he actually might be good at this.
But even then, right, you say that. He might be good at this, and he is good to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him a contract that feels kind of like a stopgap, right? It was like 3 years, if I remember correctly, and they did it with the understanding that they are going to go and get a lot of young talent and a lot of talent to put around him, where he is not the engine of this. He is here to facilitate and distribute within this, and that honestly might be what we're talking about when we're talking about Baker Mayfield.
And you may be able to do some of the similar things with maybe finding someone in the draft to be able to bring in young talent around Baker Mayfield if he continues to show the promise that he has shown so far this year. Another quarterback that made that particular list, which I find to be very interesting because he could make himself even more money if he handles business against Cincinnati this weekend. That's Josh Dobbs. And you saw what he did, of course, against the Dallas Cowboys and what that rushing attack did there. Look, man, he's completing 70.7% of his passes for 814 yards and 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions right now for a team that, of course, does not have Kyler Murray. Josh Dobbs has acquitted himself very nicely so far through the first month of the year for them.
Yeah, I think Josh Dobbs has made himself money in that he's now going to be the backup quarterback that's paid nicer. Like, I think that's because I don't know that anybody looks at Josh Dobbs like, I want to put my team in his hands. But
correct.
I think he's starting to get to the point where you're like, oh, we're getting close to great backup status, which is can come in and win you the game, but is not going to steal your quarterback's job.
Correct.
And so good for that young man, because he's also done this on hard mode, right? Where it's just been like bring him in and throw him in circumstances that are not really advantageous, and he's handled himself and acquitted himself fairly well. So yeah. Good on that man, and he's really shown some things to the league, I imagine.
I love this category here. Not free agents, but will get new deals. Now, the obvious one in this particular category, of course, is Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is going to become the highest paid defensive player in the history of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Just to remind you how stupid good he is, he leads the NFL with a 36.4% pass rush win rate.
Is that good?
Jeez.
I imagine that's good.
But the one I want to highlight on this list, because there's a couple of others, obviously, with Justin Jefferson, Tristan Wirfs, speaking of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the one in particular on this list who has been talking about hooping so far through the first month of the year, yeah, that's Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback, of course, of the Miami Dolphins. Could be, you talked about Christian McCaffrey being an MVP candidate. Tua Tagovailoa is right there as well as a early MVP candidate, based on the terrific year that he's had so far, putting up all the yards, all the touchdowns, and all the points so far for Mike McDaniel's offense in Miami.
Yeah, that one's easy, man. They have a quarterback with a team that is going to be good, and they never wavered on him. This is just like, hey.
They stuck with him. Yeah.
Once it gets to that point, you give him his deal. Like that seems to be the way that this goes. Like he is above whatever we're deciding is the modern Mendoza line or the Andy Dalton line, as I used to call it at a certain point. He's above that, and so you get it done, and then you keep it moving. Like this, that's actually very simple calculus for the Miami Dolphins.
Another category which is very interesting: players who need to be, who need a better October if they want to get paid. Now, I don't know why Fowler has one particular player on this list, because he's not going to play another down with Chicago ever again. It feels like at this point, and that's Chase Claypool. That's a. You can just go ahead and write that off at this particular point.
Yeah, but I imagine that also doesn't help, right? And maybe the idea is wherever he ultimately gets traded to, if they are capable of facilitating a trade, they will have given up some level of capital, so they feel inclined to keep him around. Maybe that's something. But he hasn't really done very much in his career to this point that makes you feel like he is a necessity in any program, right? That you need to spend money. He might end up starting to be one of those free agent wide receivers that teams use to fill out their wide receiving core. And that's not really a fun place to be, because that means you're on the edges and the outskirts of the league, possibly falling out, especially with the way the wide receivers are constantly being developed out of college now.
Another player that made this list, and the other Cowboy that made this list. How about Tyron Smith? Now, here is what Fowler says when it comes to Smith. Smith is playing in the last season of an 8-year contract. 8. And And several evaluators say he's still got value at age 32, with the theory that even a 60 to 70% of Tyron Smith once the game's premier left tackle is still good. But of course, durability is the primary concern. And he's already missed 2 games this year, which marks 35 absences since 2020.
That's so many. Jerry Jones in particular has never wavered in talking about Tyron Smith.
And he will not.
However, I wonder if this organization is starting to turn a corner with their MOs where, like, obviously they try and take care of their legends. But I wonder if Ezekiel Elliott, I understand that's a different position with different, different level of value proposition. But I wonder if that is maybe going to be a level of insight into how the Cowboys might handle this, where they look up and they go, now that we're in a place where we're not obligated to you at this point, we've given you what we can, and we're just going to do a very clean evaluation of, do we want you to bring you back? And in all reality, you start doing the math and you already have your left tackle of the future, right? You're already moving to that place. You see the lack of availability, and you see the quality of play that you're still getting when he is available. And it might all lead into, it might not be worth the squeeze ultimately. So I'm very interested in seeing how the Cowboys handle this, because this could go that way with, some of the thoughts on the Cowboys have become a little bit more in line with, league thoughts on valuing players and such. But we always know there's a little bit, and it feels unfair to constantly put it on Jerry. However, y'all be seeing it. Y'all know Jerry.
Yeah.
There's something in Jerry that sometimes he just has his favorites, or he feels the need. And it's probably unfair to say has his favorites, because there's a reason why.
He does.
There's a reason why former Cowboys love this organization.
Yes.
For the most part. And it's because they try and take care of the ones that they love. And Tyron Smith fits squarely in that category. Future Ring of Honor guy. So,
what's the old adage that Bill Belichick uses when it comes to moving on from a player?
What is it?
It's better to move on a year early than a year too late.
You might have missed that window already.
That's my point.
Okay.
That's my point.
Got you.
Because this would have been the year, in my humble opinion, that if you were going to move on from Tyron, you would have done it. Because what did you just mention? You've got your future left tackle in Tyler Smith. And if you were ready to initiate that now, you should have done that by moving on from Tyron. But you didn't, because you told me, Jerry, Steven, and this organization, that you feel like your best 5, even with the durability concerns of Tyron Smith, who hasn't played a full season since 2015, that he is still part of your best 5. And what have we seen so far? None of your best 5 so far to begin this season. So this would have been the year to move on from Tyron if you were willing to do it. They were not. And here we are, still trying to figure out how they find some measure of continuity on this offensive line.
Sure.
Well, we haven't seen the starting 5 so far this year.
I think the neutral zone in between those two things, right, is like that would have taken an actual action to cut him or let him go, which I don't think that they want to do for a dude who is somewhat a legend in the organization's history. I think that the idea of not re-signing him is a different action. It's not actively letting him go. It's just like, well, we've reached this point where there's a path of least resistance, if that makes sense. And I understand what
they're trying to let him down gently is what you're sounding like.
It's possible. It's possible. Or,
that's what it sounds
or maybe
like.
I can even just say it's easier to make the decision in that instance because it doesn't take you actively having to do something. You can just kind of let him go. Now, the 214 does point to the idea, and this is very right. The exception is that offensive linemen are very necessary. And especially in this league, there's not enough to go around. So when you have one that you feel is capable of still being a starter.
Well, what does it matter if he can't play anyway and is not available? Like, I get the sentiment. Trust me, I get the sentiment. But if he's not available, what does it matter? And unfortunately for Tyron, as great as Tyron is, as much as he's on his road to Canton, he hasn't been available and continues to be unavailable. And I love Tyron. But at some point, organizationally, you got to make a decision. And maybe you've hit the nail on the head when it comes to, we'll just let him down gently, let him finish it out, and then we'll move off of him and then start the whole Tyler Smith at left tackle going into next year. But those are some players who have made themselves some money and still have some work to do this upcoming season. By the way, somebody who's already going to make themselves a bunch of money anyway.
Who's that?
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Jones.
Yeah. I mean, he was trying to make that money earlier than he had. He was like, I'm not going to show up. And they're like, really? He's like, all right, we'll figure out the money for this year.
And low-key caught an L with that contract he got. going into the season.
It'll be interesting to see if he does indeed get what he wants on the back end of that.
I'm sure the Chiefs will find a way to make it happen because, he's their best defensive player, and he makes that whole thing go.
Yeah.
It's the Get Right with Reggie KG right here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, we're going to go inside the gray area where this particular Apple Watch is now obsolete. Next on the Get Right.
The Fan continues to grow because of you, our listener teammates. Thank you for turning it on and leaving it on. 105.3 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
If you turn it on and leave it on The Fan, you know we're DFW sports leader on insight and original content all day long. No need to go back and search for it. We send it to you. Yeah. Sign up for our fan newsletter today at 1053thefan.com. Proudly presented by Bosch Power Tools.
RJ Chop here, by your friends over at QC Kinetics. Are you dealing with constant pain in your joints? Do not let them tell you more drugs and surgery are your only options. We've got a better alternative for you dealing with pain. It's QC Kinetics. I love them. I've used them. Emmett Smith loves them. He's used them. Thousands and thousands of Texans are walking around pain-free now thanks to QC Kinetics. The team of medical professionals uses advanced regenerative medicine to give lasting relief and take healing agents from your own body, highly concentrated, put them right into your achy joints. Getty.com/Sean and RJ.
We know you're excited because Cowboys football is back. With the free Odyssey app, you can jump back and listen to the moments that matter, even if you missed it live. Catch Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus on G-Bag Nation, or listen to Jerry Jones' interview with Sean and RJ on 105.3 The Fan.
And I hope that our fans would understand that I do know how to keep it stirred up.
Stay close to the team wherever you are this season. Download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
Cowboys, Niners, this Sunday night. Our coverage begins at 3 with the Old 75 Beer Garden kickoff at 7:20 on DFW's home of America's team, 105.3 The Fan.
This segment of the Get Right is brought to you by Classic Chevrolet. Guess what, Texas? It's Classic Chevrolet's Truck Month at Classic Chevrolet. Like you, grit runs deep. They're determined to get you the toughest trucks with the biggest savings. Over 300 new Silverados on the ground. Unprecedented one-time offers. Claim yours before it's gone. This is Texas. This is Classic Chevrolet. Find new roads.
About to go inside the gray area, where, of course, there is no gray area on the Get Right. We're Reggie KG here on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula, Rigo Mendoza holding it down for you here on this Wednesday night. Really appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app, the truckrate.com text line, 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053.
I want to keep our listening audience informed as much as we can. So in addition to the flash flood warnings for Dallas County and Rockwall, correct, Rodrigo? Make sure I'm not stepping out of bounds in any ways. Tarrant County has been added to that. So a lot of our listening audience, well, I guess I shouldn't say a lot. There's a lot of folks under the sound of our voice, and we appreciate you rocking with us. But Dallas, Tarrant County, Rockwall County, we're all under a flash flood warning. Be careful. Be safe out there.
Yes, please take care of yourselves and your families and be safe out there. If you absolutely have to be out, please be as careful as you can. Don't forget to come hang out with us on Sunday nights at Old 75 Beer Garden, just off 75 in Richardson. The Get Right, myself and Reginald Atatula will be hanging out with the Tolos and Cowboys Nation to watch the Cowboys take on the San Francisco 49ers, a rivalry renewed in Santa Clara as the Cowboys look to take out San Francisco. But yeah, come hang out with us at Old 75 Beer Garden. Looking to have some fun out there. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and the thing that I said is, like, worst case scenario, if things go bad for the Cowboys, you're amongst friends. Cheap beer, nachos, right?
You can vent.
Exactly.
You know, give us your takes on the Cowboys, that kind of thing.
We will hear your takes. If you want to yell takes directly at our faces for a short period of time,
you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Very short period of time.
Right, because we're going to try to enjoy ourselves as well.
That's right. That's right.
Rigo, let's go inside the gray area here on the Get Right, the truckred.com text line. Again, 877-881-1053 if you want to get involved. The headline goes like this, gentlemen. The 18-karat gold Apple Watch that sold for $17,000 at launch is now officially obsolete.
You said 15,000?
17,000.
Okay, my bad. I just misplaced 2,000 right quick. 17,000 is obsolete? That's tough.
Apparently so. In 2014, Apple announced it was once again expanding its technological empire with the help of the Apple Watch, of course. The inaugural line included a luxury option that sold for between $10,000 and $17,000, but now it has become quote unquote obsolete.
But why though?
So as it goes here, the Apple Watch obviously does more than just tell time.
I sure would hope so.
But at one point, I don't know if you remember this, the company at one point had to shell out $500 million to settle a dispute over allegations it released software designed to get iPhone users to upgrade to a new device. As a result, anyone who buys an Apple Watch does so knowing it probably is only a matter of time until it becomes kind of a relic.
Yeah. It's planned obsolescence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, when you consider the cheapest aluminum model retailed for $349 in 2015. The stainless steel option was a bit steeper with a starting price of $549. I think most early adopters felt like they got their money's worth.
Yeah, see, like, and obviously, like, it changed the way that you kick it. In fact, like, I also have a smartwatch. It's not an Apple, but like, I never would have bought one for myself, except my mom's got me one for my birthday, and it was like, okay, I wouldn't have bought this for myself because it isn't absolutely necessary, but it's convenient, right? And that's what you're paying for, is that added convenience. I don't know how $17,000. I don't know how that worked for the convenience, especially once it ultimately becomes obsolete on the back end.
I mean, look, man, status symbol clearly is what that was at the particular.
I hope you was stunting. I really hope so. Because this is the thing. I'm not somebody, like, I don't use Apple products, but I'm not somebody that's like, I hate Apple products. I just hope that, like, whatever the additional value that you were seeking out of, like, you know, that you're getting, right? That's my big thing, is like, are you getting the value that you want out of it? And I hope you are, because if you pay $17,000, you better stunt, buddy.
Yeah, because I'm pretty much wearing that thing everywhere. If I spent 17 grand on a watch, I'm trying to think, like, what's the most money I'd be willing to spend on, like, a Rolex or something like that? If I ever...
While you contemplate that, I need to give some more updates to our listening audience. Where apparently we have a tornado warning now in effect for Dallas and Ellis counties. That goes from 9:45, which is about now, to 10:45. You got about an hour of a tornado warning for Dallas and Ellis counties.
Okay. So again, please be careful and take shelter as you need to.
Do you want to play the game where we try and remember which one is which with the tornado warning / tornado watch?
What game would that be?
Trying to remember what the watch versus warning means.
Yeah, because I always forget.
Same.
Well, like, the warning means it's like
there's been one spotted. Is that
what? Yeah.
Let's do the Googles. Tornado watch means get ready. Warning means move now to safety. So yeah,
it's like
Ellis County, be in safe spaces because we are currently in a tornado warning.
Okay. The headline goes like this. Dermatologist reveals the reasons mosquitoes bite some people but leave others alone.
Because some of y'all, you know what? I'm going to learn. KG, please teach me.
If you've ever felt like mosquitoes seem more drawn to you than the other people around you, well, it's possible that they actually are. Dermatologist Lindsay Zabritsky recently explained some of the reasons why. Now, she begins by explaining that you may be more attractive to the blood-sucking bugs based on simply your blood type. Quote, mosquitoes tend to find that people with blood type O are way, quote-unquote, tastier than any of the other blood types. Okay.
Oh, you got that good blood. Okay, I see you, dog.
Quote, another thing mosquitoes are attracted to carbon dioxide. The heavier you breathe, the more attractive you're going to be. People who are larger or more obese tend to breathe more often and breathe more carbon dioxide, therefore are more attracted to mosquitoes. So
I love the tone of your voice as you continue to read that,
because I feel like she's trying to come for me.
My man is under attack.
Yeah, like I need to
help KG. The mosquitoes are coming.
Like, I knew I needed to, lose a few pounds, but damn, apparently for not just, health reasons, but apparently these mosquitoes will come for your boy. That's not.
Well, anecdotally, have you noticed that in your lifestyle or in your situation?
No, but I feel like it's gonna start happening now, which means I'm gonna be inside a lot. Thanks.
Wait, are you saying you just jinxed yourself?
What'd you say?
Are you saying you just jinxed yourself?
Probably in that way. I'm invoking my inner Bobby Belt at this particular point.
Don't do that to me, swaggy booties. I didn't insinuate that about KG being fat. I didn't say that.
I self-deprecation. Okay, it's okay. Appreciate swaggy booties though. Thank you so much. Another thing she says, quote, the color of clothing you wear may determine whether or not you get bit.
Hold on.
Quote, darker colors like black and green, Reggie, are easier for the mosquitoes to spot. So if you want to avoid getting bit, try wearing a lighter color like white.
Man, I be wearing
KG,
black
what does
and
it
green
say
all
about
the
that white
time.
and black shirt?
Excuse me?
What does it say about that white and black shirt?
Oh, true.
I've already gotten. I've already come from my own, self in this particular way. Pause.
I'm marking that.
Do I have to be the camera of the situation and say, "Yo, that's crazy"?
Yep. That's right. That's
gotcha.
right. In another TikTok video, Dr. Zabriskie shared even more reasons why some people get bit more often by the annoying insects than others. Quote, mosquitoes are attracted to sweat. And
they come for the big boys again. That's tough. That is not right.
And people who have a higher temperature, they are particularly attracted to things like ammonia, uric acid, lactic acid. And so people who exercise quite a bit are more likely to get by mosquitoes. So
we're just getting a whole bunch of people get
warriors.
Bit by, like at some point we're just gonna have categories that involve everybody. Everybody is more likely to get bitten.
What's the moral of the story here?
Mosquitoes
come for all of us.
Yeah, wear some pest repellent.
Yes,
get you a citronella candle or something. I don't know.
She goes on to say, quote, other things that can make you more susceptible to mosquito bites is drinking beer. The study found that just drinking one 12-ounce can of beer can make you more attractive to mosquitoes.
Huh.
Finally, the grossest reason why these nasty bloodsuckers are attracted to certain people, quote, the type and the number of bacteria that live on our skin can make us more or less attracted to mosquitoes.
So what did we learn today, ladies and gentlemen? Wash up. Get in the gym, but not too much, and wear light colors. And maybe, just maybe, you can make it through the summer.
This also explains why we are more likely to get bit on the ankles, because there are more robust bacterial colonies in those areas, end quote. Well, Dr. Zabriskie is just a wealth of information tonight when it comes to mosquitoes.
I don't know what to do with any of this information now.
You just said it. You just said it.
Okay. And keep that big boy towel on you too, or the preacher towel, I guess. Is that the better? I don't know.
Oh man. Hey, well, there you go. At least you can
and clean your ankles. That's right. That's
right.
right.
Wash your ankles.
Wash your ankles and your feet. In fact, you should have been doing that anyways.
I guess. So.
And don't, Corey Majors, I'm talking to you. It doesn't count to just let the soap run down. Wash them.
Oh, y'all coming for my shirt because it looks like I'm in jail. Is that what you're saying?
They've done that before.
It was the other shirt, not this one.
You got multiple jail shirts?
Relax. Now, does this look like I'm in jail? Does this look like?
I don't know.
Okay.
That looks nice.
Oh, thanks, Rigo. Thanks. I appreciate that. That's nice of you.
I think, is it the horizontal stripe that does it?
Maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it's giving Beetlejuice vibe or something.
Oh, wow.
I say it's more Beetlejuice than jail.
All right, Rigo. Thank you for your
Yeah, which is better in that instance? I don't know if that's any better.
That's inside the gray area, where there is no gray area, especially when you're getting bit by mosquitoes, apparently.
Equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity mosquitoes. Right. Coming up next here on the Get Right, we get you caught up on the latest headlines on this Wednesday, including the Rangers moving on to the American League Division Series. We do it next on 105.3 The Fan.
You know how celebrities have their own chefs? Well, I might be able to top that, as I have got my own personal nutritionist I can text whenever I want, thanks to Soda Weight Loss. Sometimes I can't believe how readily available they are for their clients, like me. So if you've been struggling in the middle of the day and you need encouragement, a scenario I've definitely been in, my personal soda coach has consistently been there for me. Or
class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
This is the exclusive home of Dallas Cowboys football. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From our fan studios secured by DFWsecurity.com, it's time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Final hour of the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. Kevin Gray, Reginald Atatula, Rigo Mendoza holding down for you here on your Turn It On, Leave It On station. Appreciate you joining us on Odyssey and the Odyssey app. Going to get you caught up on the latest headlines on this Wednesday. Appreciate you joining us, however, and wherever you may be listening to us. We are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/DallasFanCam and on YouTube as well. Search 105.3 The Fan on YouTube and hit the subscribe button while you are there. At Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Atatula, if you want to get at us on Twitter. Coming up in about 19 minutes, Mavericks open up the preseason tomorrow.
Already
when they take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll get you a little preseason preview of Luka, Kyrie, and the Dallas Mavericks when they take on the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Abu Dhabi games over in the Middle East. Shout out to our man, the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold, living his best life with the camels and whatnot over there.
That is a statement, with the camels and whatnot, is hilarious.
I mean, you know, a lot going on over there. But yeah, the Mavericks, we'll get into that conversation here in about 18 minutes or so. But before we get there, been a busy Wednesday, not just, of course, as the Cowboys get back on the practice field today. A lot of guys taking veteran days off, as Mike McCarthy will be getting those veterans more days off as the season goes on, as they continue to get ready to take on San Francisco. But the biggest story of the day in the Metroplex, Rigo, the Texas Rangers moving on to the American League Division Series. In fact, hit me with cut number 12. This is how things ended in St. Petersburg.
I think you want cut number 8.
Oh, I want cut number 8? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Third comes to the belt. He kicks. He fires. He struck him out looking, and the ball game's over. The Rangers have swept the Wild Card Series and are heading to Baltimore for the Division Series. For the first time since 2011, the Rangers have won a postseason series, and they have streamed out of the dugout and are celebrating behind the mound. 7-1, the Rangers win it today to complete a 2-game sweep.
The Hall of Famer Eric Nadel on the call. The Texas Rangers dominate their 3-game series as they win 2-0 over the Tampa Bay Rays and send the Rays home. That means the Texas Rangers are headed to the American League Division Series to take on the best team in all of the American League this season, and the Baltimore Orioles. 7-1, Rangers get it done. Nathan Eovaldi, gutsy performance from him today for the good guys as he backs up what Jordan Montgomery did in game number 1. Eovaldi goes 6 2/3. Only gives up 1 earned run, strikes out 8, no walks on the day for Nathan Eovaldi. Meanwhile,
I thought he was going to make it to 7, but unfortunately, it started getting a little tough. Put runners on base, and they got Sforza real quick, and they were like, "All right, let's warm right fast, my man." And then he was able to come in and finish out that 7th for Eovaldi. But fantastic for him, as a dude who hadn't been going all that deep with great outings like this since the injury.
Meanwhile, he got a lot of support today from his offense, specifically from Josh Young. And what can you say about Evan Carter, who has set the MLB postseason on fire with his first 2 games, including cut number 4, Evan Carter going deep for the good guys today.
Now 2 outs. Carter the batter with the runner at third. And that one is swung on and hit deep to right. Way back there. That ball is history. The kid has done it again. Evan Carter with a laser 2-run homer. The Rangers lead 4-0. He has not made an out in postseason in 6 plate appearances, 3 extra base hits, and 3 walks.
Now, apparently we should have known, though, that the Rangers were going to win this series.
Why? Because they've never lost a game to Tampa in
That's
the playoffs.
right. In the playoffs, they are 7 for 7 against Tampa on the road.
And they continue that today. Again, the reset that this team had to do in order to get themselves mentally right for this series against Tampa cannot be understated. After dropping the final game of the regular season that would have gotten them the American League West Division, they pick themselves up. They go to Tampa, dominate for 2 games, get 2 terrific pitching performances from Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi. The offense was on fire, especially today.
8 extra base hits today.
2
homers, 5 doubles, and a triple. That set a postseason club record for a single game.
Josh Young had 2 doubles and a triple
all by his lonesome
today. That's how good the youngster was for the Texas Rangers. And now, Reg, they get ready to go to Baltimore to take on an Orioles team that has awaited the winner of Texas, and now they are going to be there starting on Saturday.
Now, one of the things that I mentioned, how the bullpen ERA has basically been the exact same even since they lost Felix Bautista. But that might be a little misleading because the closer they've had in his stead in Cano hasn't been all that solid down the stretch here. And the ERA might be being kind of bolstered or floated or kind of kept low, I guess is the way to say it, by kind of the middle relievers as opposed to the back end of the bullpen. So maybe that gives you a little bit of a hope that there's some weaknesses in their pitching approach and that maybe you have some places where you can go at them. But of course, this is a Rangers team where you're going to need to put runs up regardless of, who's on the mound. You're going to need to find a way to be aggressive. And obviously, the biggest place is make sure that you bring runners in once they're in scoring position, because that was the place where you had a little bit of trouble, at least in game 1.
We mentioned how good Josh Young was today. Young becoming the 4th player in franchise history with at least 3 extra base hits in a postseason game. The only other men to do that in a Texas Rangers uniform. The list is pretty damn good. Michael Young, Adrian Beltre, and Nelson Cruz, all of which did it in the 2011 postseason.
Yep. I was going to say all in the ALCS, but no, Beltre's was in the ALDS. But yeah, very, very good team, that one, and very good company for Josh.
Seeing a lot of symmetry here with...
oh, you going to do it? I saw.
Look, I didn't say anything. All I did was say a lot of symmetry here on what's been happening, with these Rangers so far.
So what outfielder are you trying to damn right now?
Excuse me?
Huh?
Oh, man. Hey, look, enjoy it, because here's the thing. We mentioned a little bit earlier. You're playing with house money, okay? You're the wild card team, and this Major League Baseball.
And that card is wild, baby.
It is wild, man. Woo! Jekyll and Hyde this team has been all season. Right now, you're getting the good version of the Rangers. But, Reg, you know this. In Major League Baseball, wild card teams, man, if you get hot at the right time and you peak at the right time, you can make a deep postseason run. And the Rangers give me a lot of that. All right. And I said it before the playoffs started. What did I say? This is not the team that you want to mess around with. You might F around and find out what happens when you play this Rangers team when they're playing at their best. In the first 2 games of this series in the clean sweep showed you what kind of potential the Rangers could possibly be on if they are playing their best baseball. And that's a team that can hit, that can pitch, and at least in these 2 games, good bullpen work from the good guys. So this is the version of the Rangers that you were hoping to see start to peak, hopefully, toward a deep postseason run at this point.
I just love more postseason baseball that we can uniquely invest in. Obviously, postseason baseball is going to be fun regardless. It's even more fun when you have a unique investment in the local team being involved. And so that's going to be even more fun to continue this thing going. In fact, you texted me as soon as they won and look like the Rangers are going to keep playing baseball. And I was like, great. Like give me as much of it as you can. It just makes all of this. It's what the whole season is for. It's for these opportunities and these moments.
Yeah, this is a little more unique than when it comes to like the National Hockey League, because admittedly, I feel like an intruder when it comes to like when the Stars make the playoffs. I feel like I'm descending upon them as they are making their run, in the postseason. But this is a story.
Season starts next year or next week, rather.
Exactly.
We can make sure we're not intruders this year, buddy.
Exactly. But we've detailed this. We were on the air when Jacob deGrom signed with the Texas Rangers, and the amount of excitement and trepidation that came with that signing, and then everything else that came with this offseason, all the way up until they called up Evan Carter in September, the up and down roller coaster that this team has been on, and now to find themselves, going to the division series after being able to handle business in the wild card round. A lot of credit has been given and should be to Bruce Bochy and the even-keeled nature which he has managed this ball club. He is the true definition of a manager, because you got to manage emotions, you got to manage talent, you got to manage situations. Bruce Bochy, been there, done it as a 3-time World Series champion. I think a lot of that was able to come through in the way that he had his team ready to play and to handle business against Tampa. And Bruce Bochy deserves a lot of credit for the way that went down in the series against Tampa.
A great point that I did not really allow myself to like fully realize in my brain is that come Monday, I believe, or sorry, come Tuesday. This is the first home playoff game at the Globe. Obviously, you've seen playoff games at the Globe because of, COVID situations hosting the World Series. This is going to be the first time that the Rangers are able to play home playoff games at Globe Life Field. I imagine that place is going to be rocking.
That atmosphere is going to be incredible. We got a little bit of a taste, as you mentioned, playoff games being at Globe Life Field when the World Series was here. It feels like so long ago at this point. But at the same time, I'm excited to see what that scene will look like and sound like.
Texter just reminded me from the 972. They said, just think, had Adolis not gotten injured, Evan Carter would still be in AAA. Now, this is the thing. Even if he had been brought up, he wouldn't have been eligible for the postseason roster. It was because he came up as an injury replacement that he was eligible for the postseason roster.
Josh Smith, I believe, yeah.
And so, ooh.
Hey, man, those are the breaks. Them's the breaks, and the Rangers have been a beneficiary of that. Yeah, that's going to be a wild scene at Globe Life Field. More importantly, for me personally, I'm happy for Eric Nadel, for Matt Hicks, and our guy Jared Sandler. Their postseason continues after the Rangers handle business today.
Your postseason continues, baseball fans, Ranger fans.
That's right.
Right here on 105 through the fan. And we appreciate all you Tolos, and I feel like I just want to reiterate, we are Dallas and Ellis counties still under a tornado warning until 10:45. So, obviously be safe, get to safety as much as you can. And if you are indeed outside, be careful out there, don't drown, turn around, don't drown. That's always something to remember, but definitely get to safety as soon as you can.
By the way, speaking of the MLB playoffs, every one of the wild card series ended in a clean sweep.
Yep. No Thursday baseball for us, apparently.
Yeah, no Thursday baseball. Minnesota, they win 2-0 after they broke their 18-game postseason losing streak in game 1. The Arizona Diamondbacks take out the Milwaukee Brewers. Sorry, Peyton. 5-2.
I imagine he's not mad anymore.
Probably. As the Arizona Diamondbacks win their series. And you want to talk about a raucous crowd? The Philadelphia Phillies, in their first 2 games of their postseason, that crowd is something else.
And you know what we're getting, right?
Oh, are we getting that series?
Phillies Braves, baby. I'm in there like swimwear, my boy. Wow. I am so excited for that series.
Whoa.
So very excited to watch that series.
So wait, that'll mean the Phillies will have played both of their AL East counterparts in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, because they took out, obviously, the Miami Marlins, and now they're going to be facing the National League destroyers that are the Atlanta Braves, with the National League's presumed MVP in Ronald Acuna Jr.
40-70, man. That's right, 40-70, man. 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases.
Do you know how absurd that is?
Yes. Yes,
That
I
is
do.
absurd.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Not to mention the guy in Matt Olson who hit over 50 homers. That lineup is potent. And I don't know how the Phillies deal with that. I mean, they got a terrific ace in Zach Wheeler, but still, my goodness.
Look, man, go look at that lineup. They got some hitters, man. The Phillies got some hitters, man.
They do. Between Harper and Schwarber.
That's right.
They got a lot. Trey Turner.
Never forget the internet's favorite, Nick Castellanos.
They got a good lineup. They do got a fun lineup. Yeah, that's going to be one hell of a series between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. Yeah, Phillies win 7-1 to sweep their series over the Miami Marlins.
All right, so again, I guess I'm just in my weatherman bag. Shout out to the 972.
Mm-hmm.
This is weather related, but of course, I'm reminding again, tornado warning for Dallas and Ellis counties. You know what? Days like this, on a less serious note, what annoys me about them?
Oh,
it reminds me that we got dishes up here.
What?
Right? We got the dish. We got television that is connected via dish.
Oh.
Because as soon as it get nasty outside, I can't watch nothing.
Cut out.
I can't watch nothing. I didn't get a chance to see how that Marlins Phillies games ended because
you didn't miss much, clearly.
I guess, but it's just like, I keep looking up like, let me check on. Nope, not checking on nothing, buddy. Not checking on a damn thing.
That is one of the downsides of satellite television. Once it goes out, yep, you're done.
Well, just gotta hope the heavens clear up.
From the 682, can't stand the Eagles fans, but those Phillies fans were pretty badass.
They're one and the same.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
They are one and the same.
Unfortunately. From the 214, I got a World Series rematch. They are predicting. You want to see a World Series rematch?
From last year, I'm guessing?
Uh-huh.
Do I want to? I don't know. I kind of want to see them. Well, okay. I can't say that. I can't say what I wanted to say.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
what
exactly what I was going to say. I can't say that.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Because I would love to see the Texas Rangers go as far as they damn well can.
Of course.
That being said, if they didn't, in lieu of that, I would like to see the Baltimore Orioles do something. Did I land it?
I mean, you can say anybody as long as you don't say.
Did I land it?
That team from Houston. We don't give a damn about them.
I don't know that they're good enough.
I don't think they are either.
There's
I
been
think
a lot
Baltimore
of unserious allegations on them.
But look, man.
That's a team that has a losing record at home.
They do. But the team that just had the best record at home in the American League, guess what? They're at home.
Still at home?
They're at home. Right, still at home. But I feel like before we go to break, I feel like the real World Series might be if we get the Dodgers and the Braves in the National League Championship Series. Is that bad?
No. Like those are the ones, man.
And that's no disrespect to Baltimore, but damn it, the Dodgers and the Braves, if those two meet in the National League Championship Series, that is going to be one hell of a series between those two teams with all those stars between Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, we mentioned Acuna, Matt Olson, Albies, take your pick. So there you go. Those are some of your headlines here on the Get Right. We're Reggie KG here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, it's time to toss some hoop.
Hoop it up.
Mavericks debut their rookies tomorrow?
Question mark?
Next on the Get Right. Don't look, I've already come from my own, self in this particular way. Pause.
Blasting out 100,000 watts of FM sports talk power and streaming 24/7 on the Odyssey app. This is DFW Sports Station 105.3 The Fan.
Jane Slater here.
Action tomorrow for the first time in the 2023-24 NBA season as they open up the Abu Dhabi games beginning tomorrow. We'll get into some of that based on what the Mavericks could be looking like when they roll out their starting lineup. Looking forward to seeing what that looks like. At Kevin Gray Sports, at Reg Editil, if you want to get at us on Twitter with me until 11 o'clock tonight, live on Twitch at twitch.tv/DallasFanCam and on YouTube as well. The truckbread.com text line, 877-881-1053. Appreciate all those who hung out with myself, Nate Newton, Kyle Yeomans, and George Teague on the Cowboys Crosstalk show tonight. If you listen to that from 7 to 8 p.m., good time with George Teague. It's always good to have him during 49ers week.
Right.
Because, that one time, took out T.O. at the Star or in Old Cowboy Stadium. So
Texas Stadium?
Texas Stadium,
Did you forget what it was called? And no judgment. I just wondered that. because you said it on the broadcast. You said it on the broadcast, and I was like.
I did.
I know KG knows what the name of that stadium
is. It's Texas Stadium, and your boy's been up since 5:30 a.m., so, a
boy.
lapse or two in the brain is probably warranted at that particular point.
Can we just take a moment to shout out my partner in crime here, Kevin Gray? I was going to make up a middle name, but I was like, I'm not going to do you like that. I was going to say Bartholomew. Man, you be working hard, very, very hard to do the various things that you do. I appreciate you making sure to make just a little bit of time at the end of your day to hang out with myself and the Tolos.
Kevin the Gladiator Gray?
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Would that be your wrestle name?
No.
Have you thought about this before?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I like it though. But I appreciate that, man. Yeah, look, man. One thing I have never taken for granted in this business, before we talk about the Mavs, is the idea of what it means to work hard and to do right by people. And the people who listen to us on this show at this station deserve 100% every time I step behind the microphone, or really any of us when we step behind the microphone, because it's a privilege and an honor to be able to do this, to talk sports, and be able to do it the way that we do with the creativity that we are able to do it with. So I don't take any opportunity for granted to be able to share that gift that I feel like I've been given to entertain the Tolos and those who enjoy our program. So shout out to y'all for making us feel good about the stuff that we get to do, and I don't mind working hard at it.
Oh, send in your potential Kevin Gray wrestling names on the truckwreck.com text line, 877-881. As you might be able to tell, a little bit long day for me as well. 877-881-1053. Shout out to Swaggy Booties, who submits Kevin, F them grocery carts, Gray.
That's a true Tolo right there. Shout out to Swaggy Booties. Yeah, that's a good callback right there. That's a good callback.
Yep.
Let's talk a little Mavericks basketball. I'm so excited for this season. Not just because obviously you got Luka and Kyrie
finally actually going to be able to get large minutes together.
From
jump.
But it feels like, at least on the court, there's been some new life, breathed into the organization, with the additions of Derek Lively and Omax Prosper. Obviously, the acquisition of Grant Williams coming over from Boston. You brought back Seth Curry for his third tour duty with this team. But at the same time, there's a lot to be excited about. And we get to see some of that begin tomorrow when the Mavericks take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game, I believe, 11 a.m. local time. If you're going to be watching that game, it's going to be on NBA TV.
So a great time to not have baseball, I guess. Like, we will supplement that baseball.
There you go. That's
with
right.
some basketball then.
That's
Although,
right.
to be fair, with the way that would have timed out, it would have led kind of nicely into baseball. But it's fine.
Shout out to the Rangers in the clean sweep. So what are you most excited about with this new look Mavericks team, where Jason Kidd has said, look, man, these rookies, Omax, Derek Lively, come on down. You're going to get a chance to show what you got, and it starts tomorrow.
Well, if you're allowing me to answer first, I will take the easiest answers off the board. The two positions that are not guaranteed locks for starters. I'm very intrigued to see what it is that the young guys can give you when it comes to starting center and starting three, kind of like wing, and also like kind of how those rotations seem to gel. Now, one thing that Jason Kidd has said, and I truly believe him on, because sometimes Jason Kidd be talking, is that everybody that's on the roster is going to get an opportunity, right? Like he seems to have a very big heart for that. And I'm sure that's being a former player plays into that, where it's like, look, man, if you're on this roster, you're going to have an opportunity to display your capabilities of doing whatever, whether it's ultimately for this team or for another team that might be out there looking. You're going to be able to show your wares. And so I'm interested in seeing maybe different ways that, and you're not going to get a full range of this, but like the different ways that you can maybe see certain players mixed and matched, right? And maybe starting to see some of the discussed partnerships that we have heard about that I'd like to see on court, a la Luka Doncic playing pick and roll with Derek Lively. So I'm really intrigued by those things. But of course, it starts with Omax and I guess I should say his full name, Olivier Maxence Prosper and Derek Lively II, what they are capable of doing in more prominent roles early. Like, how far along are they? And are they ready to play prominent minutes and maybe even start for this team? And when I say start, actually, can I take a second to clarify? Like, we've been talking about starting, and that's one thing. The most important thing is who closes. And so that's how this league is. We talk a lot about starting, but really it's not who the five are that start. It's who are the five that you feel comfortable enough closing out games. And so are those guys capable enough that they'll end up being considered for closing minutes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised at the idea that we'll get to see these rookies, fairly early on in the starting lineup alongside, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and Grant Williams. I'm presuming the lineup is going to look like Luka, Kyrie, Grant Williams, Olivier Maxence Prosper, and Derek Lively at center. But the thing I'm most interested in, and you started to allude to it a little bit, what do these rotations begin to look like behind those individuals? Because
a lot of guards on this team.
A lot of guards. Yeah. You're undersized at center after Derek Lively with Dwight Powell and Rashawn Holmes there.
Rashawn Holmes goes, what, like 6'8"?
About 6'8", 6'9". Okay. So undersized there at center. But then, and you just mentioned it, you got a bunch of guards between Tim Hardaway, Jaden Hardy, Seth Curry. You've got to figure out what those guys mix and match and look like and who runs that second unit, because I imagine the amount of staggering that you'll see with Luka and Kyrie, with Luka running the second unit at times, Kyrie being able to do the same, but what those pieces look like and fit around those two superstars given the rotations that they have. And again, what does that look like from a defensive standpoint? Because we talked about the undersized, nature of Rashawn Holmes and Dwight Powell. Maxi Cleveland at times is going to be your small ball five, coming off the bench with his ability to stretch the floor from the three-point line, but also provide you, some versatility on the defensive end. So what these rotations look like to me are going to be very interesting to see how those play out during the preseason and obviously into the regular season as well. But Jason Kidd has got a lot of different pieces that he can mix and match, who he starts to find trust with. And hopefully he lets Tim Hardaway Jr. know by the time they got to Abu Dhabi that he's going to be, a sixth man at this particular point. Because, we know how Jason Kidd likes to inform his guys about things and roles, after the fact, that kind of thing.
Are you sure Tim Hardaway Jr. is your sixth man on this team?
He has to be by default. Here's the thing. I am still very surprised that Tim Hardaway Jr. is on this roster as of right now, because there's a lot of redundancy, it feels like, with Curry, Hardaway, Jaden Hardy, who I feel like should get more minutes than Hardaway anyway, which is, again, why I'm surprised he's still with this team, because I thought you would be able to move on from him, knowing that you saw some emergence from Jaden Hardy and trying to build on that this upcoming season. So, yeah, by default, he's going to have to be sixth man right now, because he's not a good defender, and he's a guy that can provide you instant offense off the bench, but his streaky nature lends itself to, a lack of confidence at times of what that can be on a night-to-night basis for him.
So I'd like to shout out the Dunker Spot podcast. Great podcast by Nekias Duncan, Steve Jones Jr. Fantastic basketball minds. One of the things that Steve brought up was the idea of the possibility of the youngins starting And of course, I don't know that both of them start, but let's assume that they do. Those are defensive presences, understanding that you have a lot of offense in your stars of Luka and Kyrie. And so adding defensive presence is probably going to be helpful. Also, what that kind of does is that pushes a lot of the veteran scoring that you have on this roster to the second unit. And so you might not have to worry nearly as much about the scoring capability of the second unit and having to stagger as much, although I'm sure you still will in some ways, but like you feel even more comfortable with the idea of your second unit will come in and get buckets with the like of Seth Curry and Tim Hardaway Jr. and so on. So I'm interested in that, but also like how willing is, Jason Kidd, as you mentioned in rotations rather, I kind of want to, stretch that out. How willing is he going to be to go small? How willing is he going to be to go big? Like, how does that mix up as well? And what kind of funky lineups can we possibly see in the preseason? And a lot of these questions, we're not going to answer all of these.
Especially if that rotation includes Josh Green, if he's not going to be in the starting lineup, to me, which is a mistake early on based off of how I feel about where Josh Green is as far as his game relative to Omax Prosper and what that means from an experience, but also from a talent level standpoint, given the fact that Josh Green, I think right now, shoots the 3-ball better than Olivier Maxis Prosper at this point.
And probably more consistently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which I would think you would want in a lineup with as much defense and as much shooting as you can around Luka and Kyrie, which is why I thought the ideal lineup, which I thought was going to be coming into the season, it may still be that way, would be Luka, Kyrie, Josh Green, Grant Williams as your 4. With Dwight Powell as your, starting 5 as you bring along Derek Lively. But this is what the preseason's for.
Yeah, absolutely. So all these things I imagine we're looking out for, and hopefully we'll see the beginnings of answers as they play their Abu Dhabi game. I believe the first one's against the Minnesota Timberwolves, right?
Both of them are.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they play October 5th and 7th, both of those.
Which, hey, that's going to be a fun one because you're going to start having to figure out how this team handles size. Because one thing you have mentioned, KG, in the West, there is a lot of bigs that are capable of playing. And so you're going to have to know how to handle that in some way. So we're going to get the first taste of how does this team handle size, because that team has 3 big dudes that they like playing frequently.
They do. They really do. Shout out to Gavin Spittle. Kevin 50 Shades of Gray. Kevin Say Hey Gray.
Say hey. Okay. Like to say hey, kid?
The Say Hey Kid.
That's not bad company to be put in. Real quick before we go. From the 832, what are the expectations for this Mavericks team? I don't know that I want to put out the larger expectations for everybody else, but for me personally, I think that this is a team that I expect to be in the upper part of the play-in conversation and hopefully contending and vying for that safety of the playoffs at around the 6th seed.
Yeah, the 6 to 8 range is where I have the Mavericks right now. Which, again, top 6 obviously is the goal, but that 6 to 8 range is where I have them currently right now. It's to Get Right with Reggie KG right here on 105 through the Fan. Coming up next, it's the final call.
Coming up Thursday morning on Sean and RJ, Rangers Game 2, and we preview the 49ers with Babe Laufenberg and Patrick Walker. It's a Rangers Thursday on the Fan.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20.
It is all capped off on Sunday Night Football, the NFL's game of the week. The San Francisco 49ers hosting the Dallas Cowboys, a rivalry renewed between those two bitter rivals on Sunday Night Football. So you want to keep it locked in all weekend long on your home of the Cowboys and Texas Rangers.
Want to show up at Old 75?
That's right.
In Richardson. That's just
right.
off of 75.
Yeah,
and hang out with your boys.
Yeah, come hang out with the Get Right at Old 75 Beer Garden on Sunday evening as we will be watching those said Cowboys taking on the 49ers. Looking forward to hanging out with the Tolos and Cowboys Nation as we take in what hopefully is a terrific football game. As I mentioned, the NFL's game of the week in week number 5 of the NFL. We'll have more as the week goes on. Programming note for us tomorrow, we'll be back at 7 p.m. As Katie Drummond of the Cowboys Wire is going to join us at 7:20 tomorrow evening. Always a wealth of information. Our guy Katie is the managing editor of the Cowboys Wire for USA Today. He's going to join us at 7:20 tomorrow night. It's the final call here on the Get Right before we get out of here on this Wednesday night. Again, hopefully you all are safe and sound and taking shelter if you need to in the various respective areas where we had some severe weather over the last few hours.
Yeah, I think I will go to our weather correspondent, Rodrigo Mendoza, at our weather desk. Rodrigo, first of all, do you have a current status for me on where we are as watches, warnings, so on and so forth?
It's raining.
Okay, fantastic. And then when it came to the raining, on the text line we have from the 214 saying FC Dallas was delayed 3 hours plus before being canceled. Sounded like you had some interesting updates from Toyota Stadium up in Frisco.
Yeah, so apparently the O, or part of the O from the Toyota Stadium logo thing fell off earlier tonight. So that was, yeah, I believe, I saw on Twitter somebody got hit with a little bit of it.
Oh,
and
no.
got to keep a little bit of it. It's not like a big, I mean, it is a big deal, but you just didn't get injured too.
Well, thankfully. All right. Yeah, thankfully, no known injury.
Yeah, no.
Fantastic. Also, shout out to Carter Freeman, who apparently is on the YouTube. And I'm sure you can guess what he says here, as he says, "I hope you boys have this midweek Conference USA action on in front of you."
I did. Thank
Carter
you, Carter.
Freeman's a
Yes,
sicko,
sir.
man.
Yes,
Get out of
did.
here, man.
I
Huge
did
sicko.
have it.
Go to bed, Carter.
Huge sicko.
Jeez.
Yeah, Rodrigo does. I do not, because only one TV is on for me, and it is currently looped on a Chipotle commercial. Apparently, I don't know.
I'll also have it on Conference USA tomorrow as my Sam Houston Bearcats try to get their first win in FBS football.
Still?
Oh, wow. Okay.
They got their first touchdown I think a game or two ago against Houston.
Look, man, baby
You gotta walk. You gotta crawl before you walk, and walk before you run, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, tell Carter to go to sleep, man.
He said he loves the guys. I appreciate you, my man.
College football sicko. Get out of here, Carter.
Um,
Big weekend for him and his Oklahoma Sooners.
In fact, you know what? I probably should try and talk to somebody about getting amped and getting prepared with some analysis for that game. But I would like to alert you, Kevin Gray.
Oh.
To a man who very much sees his job as just a job. You know who I'm talking about. It is NBA two-time MVP and Finals MVP, Nikola Jokic. Who was asked in media day for the Denver Nuggets if this summer was the most fun summer he's had. And, you know, like, it makes sense. Like, they had a fantastic run in the playoffs. They won the first championship in their franchise's history, correct? Or
That's right.
It was like, was it a long time or was it just the first time?
First one ever.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, look, man, there's a lot of reasons to be, to have fun and be jubilant. His response to if this was the most fun summer he's had, quote, "No, it was the opposite. We played an extra 2.5 months." That man was like, "No,
all this winning made me do extra work.
Work cut into my free time. All I wanted to do was ride my horses, and y'all had me dealing with Jimmy Butler. What is wrong with y'all?"
Apparently, he hardly picked up a basketball this summer with all the celebrating he was doing and carrying on with. Look, he's Nikola Jokic is a marvel, and we all saw his, epic NBA Finals and NBA playoff performances that he had this past season. He's the best player in the world right now, and I don't think it's a particularly hot take to say that. With all due respect to, actually, no, he's the second best, because I have said in the past that Giannis was the best because he does it on both ends. Nikola Jokic doesn't really, do it on the defensive end.
Yeah, but I mean, he's found ways to be serviceable over the past season. I think that's been a great thing.
You don't have to hide him necessarily.
I think the consensus amongst basketball talkers is that he's the best. And I mean, obviously this ends up shifting all the time for obvious reasons. When you're at the top of the mountaintop, people are going to appreciate you and respect you as such. But yeah, no, most people are very willing to at the very least have the conversation about him being in there, if not being the best player in the world right now. And I mean, rightfully so. And with that being the case, all that talent, all that ability, not that he denigrates that or not that he takes it for granted, but that man wants nothing more than to be in his country, playing
at home,
playing with his horses.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes, very much so. So final call here on the Get Right. Shout out to Nicole Hutchison. She is the newest Dallas Cowboys team reporter. Of course, Haley Sutton, who is now with CBS Sports.
Get that money, Haley.
Yeah, Haley doing incredible work for CBS Sports. The Cowboys. And she was able to announce that today, that she is the newest Dallas Cowboys team reporter. So you go follow her on Twitter at Nicole in Hutchison TV. That's NHUTCHISON TV.
You did that. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. So shout out to Nicole. I met her tonight actually before Cowboys Crosstalk. So Kyle Yeomans was showing her around, that kind of thing. Of course, as she get used to her new digs. Make sure y'all go follow her on.
Yeah, do it quickly before she also gets a big time TV.
Yes. But no, she is excited to join the Dallas Cowboys as their newest team reporter. So welcome, Nicole. Hope it all goes well for you here.
I'm sure she'll be great. One of the things that you can always applaud Dallas Cowboys media for is that they do a great job of finding and developing talent. I mean, we were just talking earlier in the break about how our friend Patrick Walker, that man,
that's right.
I mean, not to say, I don't want to say glowed up because he's always been phenomenal at what he does. But he's a little bit less accessible to us. There's a lot of people that are demanding of his time now.
Yes,
and for good reason, because he gives, as he would like to say, that science.
And you can tune in to him tomorrow at 9:20 a.m. with Sean and RJ. Shout out to John Buccigross. I know the Hockey Hawk is listening.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
ESPN is creating an NHL version of the NFL Red Zone called Frozen Frenzy. It launches October 24th on ESPN2 with all 32 teams in action, hosted by John Buccigross. Quote, fans will see every goal, every power play, and every hit.
I'm so intrigued by this because the idea of the red zone works a little bit easier in a sport that has these breaks and kind of has these very clear indications that there are threats, right? Once you get into the red zone, there's a clear threat. Hockey's so much more free flowing that I'm intrigued to see how this works, just like from a, mechanical standpoint, but I'm also interested as somebody who has stretched myself very far on sports watching and things, if this is going to make hockey just a little bit easier to consume for me. Because that is something that I think hockey ends up being a little niche in a way, and not to say that it is like fully inaccessible, because I think a lot of people that have gone to a hockey game instantly fall in love. I just wonder if this makes opens the door just a little bit to more folks who are not going to end up in an arena for a hockey game. I'm very intrigued on that front as well.
I'm excited to see what this looks like and how it comes to fruition. So shout out to John Buccigross, who's done a terrific job covering the NHL for a very, very long time. Really good interview as well.
Wow.
When he's come on with Sean and RJ, they had a lot of fun with him during the playoffs this past season. So yeah, the Frozen Frenzy beginning on October 24th.
You said that's on ESPN2?
ESPN2.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you don't even got to go.
Shout out to the Hockey Hawk.
That was very loud. I was like, is the Hockey Hawk inside of my skull? That was crazy, Rigo.
Appreciate the hard work of my man Rigo Mendoza on this Wednesday night. Thank you, sir. For my partner, Reginald Atatula, my name is Kevin Gray. This has been the Get Right with Reggie KG on 105.3 The Fan. We'll be back with you tomorrow beginning at 7 o'clock on your home of the Cowboys and Texas Rangers. Y'all be good. We will talk to y'all tomorrow.
Rangers, postseason baseball. Gotta love it. Be easy. Peace.
Mr. Unlimited.
DFW's #1 Cowboys podcast. 1.2 million downloads and counting. Love of the Star with top insiders Brian Broaddus and Bobby Bell on Odyssey or